Howdy do fam, I'm your man SteubeMan. Let's start the stream. It's gonna take a moment, of course, for people to trickle on in. In the meantime, we'll get the music going in the background. Then we'll go ahead and cool. Alrighty then. Alright, well, there we go. We started. And I got myself a little din going. So, I'm gonna watch a few videos. Finish my dinner. Chat about whatever. Do a novel progress update. I worked a bit on it today. I unfortunately did not get to editing some of the previous live streams, taking out some videos, some clips, which is something I wanted to get to today, but I figured I was gonna be done with that so late that I might as well just chill and stream. I still gotta eat dinner and all this kind of stuff. And then hopefully tomorrow I can fit into a routine. Anyway. Yeah. Well, there you go. So, I think we got a couple interesting clips. Put this music down a little bit. And then, let's check out. Oh. It would probably be good if I showed you guys what I'm looking at. Damn it. You know what? I think I'm gonna have to switch. I'm gonna have to switch this a little bit. Ugh, but maybe I just gotta lean to the right. Away from my mic. I hope that's alright. Anyway. Let's see what, who's this delusional ma effer? This is from Memology. Morning Joe crew accuses media of pro-Trump bias. So concerned with being objective that they give Trump an advantage. What does that mean?
Not surprising, but still shocking. What he says, and you know, even Arlington, you've seen major newspaper outlets talk about, well, how will this impact Kamala Harris and the issue of Afghanistan after he goes? And he
does a thumbs up and pictures.
Well, and just acts like a brute.
A thumbs up and pictures.
And you know, desecrates Arlington. That's not a time to say, well, how does it? You know, but again, we see it time and time again. For some reason, the mainstream
the cemetery,
media,
right? The military cemetery?
What are we, 9 years in?
Memorial area?
To Donald Trump's era in American politics, still doesn't know how to cover Donald Trump. They still are engaging, even at this late hour, in moral relativism and saying, yeah, but. And again, it's they just they just don't know how to put it in proper perspective, because, as I said yesterday, they are so concerned.
Dude's trying to look so
about
interested,
being objective, that they're treating this race like it was 1996, Clinton versus Dole. our 2004 Bush versus Kerry. And their objective, and I put that word in quotes, their objectivity actually is not objective at all. It ends up playing to Donald Trump's advantage every day because they are so numbed by the hate speech that is spewed out of his mouth for the past 9 years.
Hate speech? What the fuck? Well, that clip was kind of long. I don't really understand. It seemed like they're mad about something. There's another one. Tim Walz flees in panic when asked an unscripted question. Staff proceeds to kick out reporters? What? Is that him? I don't understand what I'm watching. This dude is just hanging out with a bunch of dudes and dudettes. Uh-oh. I should probably use a knife or a fork. Not sure. Sorry.
Governor, are you going to take any policy questions? Governor, what do you?
Who's even asking him that? Interesting. True though. Seems like that.
Authoritarian. I know what that means.
XQC gets shocked by his political compass? Wait, what is he?
So,
But he does this all the time, doesn't he?
chat,
Yeah.
I'm confused.
Yeah. Let me help.
So left and right is economic,
Yeah.
and then top is social.
Yeah. That's what it says. That's what it means. Libertarian left. Not really shocked, but I think that's different from past.
Chat. Nah.
Probably the more he hangs out with certain people, that shit
I
changes.
think I libtarded a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think he was libertarian right last time. Actual libtard. Centrist libtard. That's funny.
Hold on. Chat, it is my belief that the current way that the world works is that things gonna shift it a little bit, and I feel like
He shifted
the scale
to.
is more like this. That's what I actually think. I think that the center went bottom left by a small margin.
I could see what he's saying, but I don't know if
I
that's
feel
the
like-
best way to say it.
Entry-level libtard points aren't as super libtard like they used to be.
I don't know. What is this? Wait, what?
In recent news, Dr. Disrespect has appeared to be back from his vacation after going on the break when he shared the reasoning for his
Wait, when was
ban.
this? 13 hours ago? Dr. Disrespect has made a return, but the comeback is marked by his editor's sudden resignation. The editor's departure comes with a heartfelt farewell to the doc, signaling... Wait, is he talking about... Is he talking about Alex? The editor's departure comes with a heartfelt farewell to the doc, signaling the end of the professional relationship. Fans are reacting to both the excitement of Dr. Disrespect's return and the unexpected news of the editor leaving, adding a bittersweet note to the moment. Speed cover, okay. Interesting. I'm gonna just watch it in 1.5 times. Wait, so what? This is interesting.
That has recently been removed from his Twitter page and updated his Twitter X profile. Late last night, Dr. Disrespect posted on social media the following: "Are people still streaming video games? What is snooze fest?" The doc also replied to people online in the following tweets:
"What you doing, Doc? Relaxing in the Lambo with the windows down, back from Lavacassia."
Additionally, he also replied to his former editor, happy to edit.
Wait, what were the other
media,
tweets?
the following: "Are people still streaming video games? What is snooze fest?" The doc also replied to people online.
Oh, Greg, of course. Doc, guess what? Booger butt. Nope. Chicken butt. I screw, but you in. Maybe. Docs with the beats. We need answers. Let's see the...
In the following tweets:
"What you doing, Doc? Relaxing in the Lambo with the windows down, back from Lavacassia."
Additionally, he also replied to his former editor, happy to edit, to announce that he was leaving the Dr. Disrespect brand after 6 years. His editor shared in the following:
"Despite all the drama and chaos these past few months, I'm still extremely proud of all the work I've done, but it's time for me to move on. So, after 6+ years, it's time to say farewell to the Dr. Disrespect brand and begin a new chapter. I want to thank the Peace Pigeon for believing in me back in 2018 and giving me a chance to show my skills and creativity to the world. I want to thank the amazing and talented Thorsten Denk, Asteftia, and Mark Reynolds. Together, we won the title for Best Creative Team of the Year in 2021. I want to thank Vintage Clash and Adinka the Muslim, as it was a pleasure to work with both of you. And lastly, I want to thank you guys, the Champions Club, for your amazing support over the years. I gained a lot of friends and had a lot of..."
So after 6+ years, it's time to say farewell to the Dr. Disrespect brand. Sorry, I'm covering my face. And begin a new chapter. These are all the people he wants to thank: Peace Pigeon, Thorsten Dankster, Vintage Classic of the Muslim, and the Champions Club. But he doesn't mention the doc. Interesting.
It was a great and fun moment with you guys. Now, here's a little 3-minute recap of some of my work over the years. Hope you guys enjoy.
There is still no word when Dr. Disrespect will stream when he returns, or if he'll opt for another form of content creation, as YouTube has fully demonetized his channel after confessing, leaving him without a way to make money on the platform. What are you guys' thoughts? Do you think that Dr. Disrespect will be back on YouTube or streaming on Kick? Let me know in the comments. Rick is kicked E-Rob out and he's staying at Miss Kiff's house.
No, that's it. I don't care about anything else. That's weird. Hold on. Alright, I'm gonna look for, oops. Okay. Let's do this. Alright, yeah, so... Are people still streaming video games? What a snooze fest. Doc, guess what? Booger butt. What are you doing, Doc? Relaxing in a Lambo with the windows down? Okay. Oh my god. Okay. Oh man, I fucking covered my damn face, bro. I can't get it straight, dude. Alright. Yo. Can you guys see these? Yeah, maybe I should not. I'm not gonna have a setup like that anymore. I'm gonna reverse these anyway. Yo. Okadoke. I think it's just I just see a bunch of clout farmers, if you ask me. It's just too easy, you know? It's just too easy. It's all that low-hanging fruit, and everybody's just like, blah, blah, blah. When will they get sick? Yeah, there you go. But I don't know. He's still got to do something. I mean, he's still got to say something here. Let's see. What else does he say? Oh, wow. Didn't get his ratio, did he? Even, yeah, it's funny. Wait, what? Oh, yeah, look at even... Wow, interesting. What else? The man. Okay, well, he's still giving him props. Okay. Well, it's an interesting situation. What else we got to look at? Okay, yeah, I wanted to see XQC comparing.
It's kind of scary. Wait.
Wait, hold on, chat, guys.
Oh yes.
My views didn't change.
Oh yeah, see.
Wait, are you a libtard? Is that where you stand? Is that what that means?
What? I'm the same. Chat, I think in 2022, I think I became brain dead.
What does that
I
mean?
think I just listened to the questions, I think.
Oh, so I guess I'm brain dead.
So 2022 is when I thought the taxes were too hard. I understood the tax code, and then I went back to the left.
Interesting. I feel like he's just gonna he's gonna try to find a middle ground between what he thinks people want to see and where he actually feels, and he's gonna push in direction as much as he can without feeling like a phony. He's gonna push as much as he can into the direction of what he thinks people want to hear, but not so far that he would be like, oh, it's not my opinion anymore. So anyway, let's see, what did he almost get canceled for?
I'm gonna skip some of these. Pornography depicting consenting adults should be legal for the adult population.
Yes.
They said that.
I'm not answering any of that.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Yeah, so you won't be able to answer those questions.
I'm only gonna agree, chat, because
What kind of undies he has?
Guys, I was just skipping it.
Well, that's not. You were putting random answers.
So that's actually the third alternative. It's just to not answer.
Concord's fans. Okay, we can stop. We can stop reading that. Because Chad, they're addressing the Concord fans, but there's none, so they're talking to nobody. So I'm not gonna read
They're
it.
talking to
Why would I
nobody.
want to read it? They're not talking to anybody. It's like they're talking to their demons and like that. I mean, they have no fans. Why would I read this shit? Addressing the void.
That's actually hilarious.
Chat. Concord fans. Today I'm talking to all the Concord fans. So, like, holy shit, brother. Like, who are they talking to? I'm so confused. I'm not gonna read it. I'm gonna read it.
That is funny.
We've been listening closely to your feedback since launch of Concord. I'm done.
Oh, he's actually trying to read it. What the fuck?
Oh, wasn't in peace. I'm gonna say the Jenny board. Quality of the experience was named with the players. Also, aspect of the game, I don't let them land it the way we intended it. But at this time, we decided to take the game offline, meaning September 6th. For option, including that, it better reach our players. When it was best and Concord sales season immediately, and will be a full refund for all the gamers.
That was the crazy part.
The price from the digital storefronts will be refunded. Yo, respect. Chat, low-key respect though.
Your game was trash, but at least
Well,
you gave your money back.
Shit,
Gave the money back.
What the fuck? It is lagged. Anyway, that's about it.
Even if they made it free to play, people don't want to play.
That is tough, brother. That is tough, huh? Well, it is what it is. Guys, the game didn't suck. Guys, the game didn't suck because the characters had a fucking pronoun. Okay, that's not the problem. The problem is the gameplay was a piece of shit. Okay, brother, the characters can all be fucking pronoun Andes. Okay, the game can be all woke shit. If the game is good, it's good. I'll play it. Like, people act like they're not gonna play a game if it's too woke. That's just wrong.
But the thing is it's already a telltale sign that the game is not going to be good because they're more concerned about a political ideology than the art that they're creating. And so it was too ingrained, so that's why the game sucked. It's literally the reason why. Anything where you focus too much on, you could say, you know, they always have that old adage, show don't tell. But if you're always focused on an ideology but not the art, it's never gonna be as good as a game or an piece of art that put art first, or at least had the artistic sensibility as the primary concern. Because you can definitely put like political stuff, but really it's not even political. It's like the better art is powerful when it's like saying something true about life, you know. If it's saying something about an abstract ideology, it loses its, like, why do people want to pay attention to that? They'll just straight up listen to someone talk about politics. But let's see. Concord shutdown saved the entire game entry. I saw this and I thought it would be interesting because what did it save? What did the shutdown save the entire video game industry from? That's what I want to know. That's
September 3rd, the day we took back the video game industry.
Gamers rose up.
Oh man.
September the 3rd. Where were you on September the 3rd? Where were you when you first heard the news? Concord has fallen. Ladies and gentlemen, we have witnessed with our very own eyes the most important event in the video game industry in decades.
I don't know about decades, but I think in the last 5 years for sure. Like, Concord failing, I do think is like a massive big deal.
Today, September the 3rd, Sony has announced that its latest title, Concord, will be discontinued, and servers will be shut down September the 6th.
Wow.
Even then, I don't really care.
Media outlets defending Concord have destroyed their credibility and revealed a glaring
Hard
flaw
to destroy something that doesn't exist, but somehow they've managed to do it.
in the game industry. How can you trust a company who tells you the sky is not blue? We can no longer trust those major companies.
Yep.
The fall of Concord is not cause for celebration. We cannot afford to devolve into a culture that dances on the graves of those who tried and failed. But there is cause for celebration.
There sure is.
To all my fellow gamers out there who let your voices be heard in comment sections and forums, I am proud of you.
That's right.
I beseech you, revel not in the failure of others. The road to a better tomorrow cannot be traveled by tearing each other down, but by helping each other up when we stumble.
That's right. That's why we're playing Wukong, games like Core Keeper, games that are fun, that are enjoyable.
Core Keeper?
Absolutely. Yep. That's right. No, we do this.
It's all right.
To the content creators out there,
Yeah, that's
who
me.
made strong the voice of your people,
Uh-huh.
your fellow gamers,
Yes.
I am proud of you.
Thank you.
To those with true journalistic integrity who researched and brought to light the unacceptable, grotesque behavior of those who would masquerade as our game developers, I am proud of you.
Oh, man.
Sony
Oh,
has
man.
become a tyrant, a dragon of wealth at all costs. All the gamers out there who stood their ground and let their voices be heard, who united from all around the world, they became a powerful spear. All the content creators out there who brought to light the truth of the situation as it unfolded day to day, they became the blade of the spear that pierced the dragon's heart.
This is so ridiculous. I love it. This is so good. This is so good. And making gaming great again? Yeah, it's people like, the thing is that for the longest time, there's been this idea in gaming that the consumers aren't the ones who decide what video games are.
Yeah.
No. What are you thinking? And like now, I think that a lot of the barriers to entry for like, you know, obviously distributing video games, developing games, tools like Unreal 5, I think is a great example. And just in general, like the overall competency of you know, like indie games to be able to like, you know, an indie game nowadays can rival a game that's of a AA or AAA quality. It can easily. And 10 years ago, 15 years ago, especially, that really wasn't possible. So now you're seeing this happen, and
Yeah, because of the
people
development
don't have
tools
to pick
being
they don't
harder
have to,
to
pick the
reach.
garbage. They don't have to play it. They can just choose to play something instead.
Harder to use.
Yeah, they have so many more tools. Exactly. Yeah, it's been democratized, which is the way it should have always been.
There is a philosophy that exists in the professional world, something I've learned working in industry, from watching,
This guy's
from
hilarious.
listening to the world around me. People love nothing more than watching a tyrant fall. For
I
years,
think
True.
that's why people are happy. I think that's the
Yeah.
same with Stellar Blade too. People are really happy when Stellar Blade did well because it goes to show that. I think that even like
Yeah,
a
XQC
person
is
with
wrong.
like a passing knowledge, like not
It
really,
matters.
you know, any sort of like a hyper obsessed person, but just somebody who's paying attention, they could see that it's like, man, it sure seems like a lot of people have it out for this game, right? Like it seems kind of weird that like certain games just receive this like massive amount of like negative criticism for like these things that are
And
not
then
really
other
about the
games
game
receive
itself. I
massive
think that even like, an
positive.
average person can see that.
And it's ridiculous.
talented, skilled,
Manufactured.
and deserving artists and developers have been discriminated against.
Yep.
Instead of game companies
Yeah.
hiring people for their ability or qualifications, they hire based
This
on
is
the
it.
color of someone's skin, their
That's right.
sexual identity, and their political views. For years,
Yeah,
the
fuck
video game
that.
industry
This
has
has been awful. Like it's
Yeah.
actually crazy that people that have been doing this have gaslighted themselves into thinking that they're the good guys. They're like, yeah, we're being racist, but we're doing it for the right reasons, so it's okay. Who thinks this? This is the definition of discrimination? Oh, they are.
Yeah.
They've always done this, yeah. That should be against the law. Well, the problem is like, so this is what happens with people. I'm assuming that there are just simply political opinions that if you express these opinions, you get reported to HR, whereas other political
Yeah.
opinions you don't. And so I think that's probably what happens.
Yeah.
And it's like then people start to dislike you, and then they push you out slowly. It's like a very type of like, not really soft, well, it's a soft but overt level of censorship, I would assume is like what's happening. But like I haven't been in one of these companies, I'm just guessing, to be fair.
bent
Well, I was
further and
when
further
one.
toward appeasing an extremist radicalized cult
Can
raised entirely
confirm.
in an isolated bubble of hyper-reality on the internet.
That's right.
The game industry has bent further and further.
That is, man, I want to go back. This is too good.
Good, because I
This
wasn't listening.
radicalized cult raised entirely in an isolated bubble of hyper-reality on the internet. The game industry has bent further and further, being
Man.
infested by people who do not care
Yep.
about making a good product,
No.
who do not understand what a good game is, and who do not care
Amen.
about what really matters.
No, they don't give a
Gamers,
shit.
diversity, inclusivity, equity.
Mm-hmm.
I've said it before, and I will say it again. Those things
You know what really brings people together is good art, no matter what. That's a true diversity, is when a piece of art can bring around people no matter who they are, and they can relate to it on a human level, not a superficial level.
matter. They're important. But the people who are pushing those concepts into the public space lack the maturity, self-awareness, and understanding of social responsibility to do it correctly.
Well, it's because they're morons. That's the reason why. Is like
Yeah.
we never had diversity problems with video games back in the day. There was never
No,
problems
yeah, that's
with
actually a
this.
good point.
It's these are the people that had problems and came into the video games and brought their problems with them. See, this is the thing, right? Is like they act like we nailed them up to the cross. No, you brought the cross in here. Everybody else, everything was going just fine. Everybody enjoyed games. Things
We
were fine.
were
You had different female characters, you
chilling.
had male characters, you had black characters, white characters. It was not really a factor. It's not really that's not the point of the game. And then these people who come in who are fucking weirdos, they're the ones that are having all these problems. They're the ones that have all these issues.
Yeah.
That's what happens. And you know what the real problem is? That these people were the problems. It's these types of people. And it's exactly what he was saying. It's the maturity, the ability to like actually discuss things like a normal person. Like I guarantee you that like if you
Because
were
they don't
around
care
a team
about
of
video
people that
games.
try to push this stuff in games, you would be so unhappy. because they're probably obnoxious. They're so obnoxious. Was Samus a girl? I heard that Metroid was a girl too. Nobody cared. Good games are good games. Yeah, it's not logical thinking people. Yeah, exactly.
Radicalized extremists are so focused on their own egos, they do not realize the damage they have caused to our culture. Never before
Gaming culture.
in the past decades has there been a
I think
greater...
that's a good point, is that I think they've set this back a lot, because like now anytime you see a character that's like not, you know, the default white male character, people go crazy with like DEI shit. It's actually like very rare whenever it doesn't happen. But like, I actually think it's this, like, I actually don't think it's the skin color as much. I don't think the skin color really matters. I think it's actually like an attitude and a culture that is like usually attached to that. So like what I mean by this is that you look at the Space Marine 2 trailer, and I've used this like 5 different examples, right? So like you guys are probably fucking tired of hearing this, but like there's a white guy, an Asian guy, and a black guy, and they're talking about how they're gonna beat back some sort of fucking, how they're gonna beat the Tyranids or something. Nobody's talking about this being woke, right?
Yeah, nobody
about
cares.
it. Because it's about the games being like masculine and the games being authentic.
Oh,
and
yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah,
that
yeah.
What you get now is a bunch of
Oh, I get what he's saying.
millennials on 7 different antidepressants, 3 different self-diagnosed mental disorders that know more about Harry Potter than the real world. And they hate Harry Potter too because of J.K. Rowling.
Oh,
and
right.
This is the thing that they know the most about. Fucking hate it, right? And they're the ones, and they have like this completely warped view on reality. Like it's like it's. I'm trying to think of like a good way to look at it. It's like I think hyper reality is the way that he explained it, and I think that's probably pretty accurate. But they live in like this like weird distorted reality that other normal people don't live in and don't exist.
Well, you could even see by the examples that Asmin was using was that it has to do with traditional masculinity. And it seems like, so most people, and who plays the majority of video games? Mostly males, you know? So, of course, it doesn't matter the color, really, of the skin. It matters, like, are the characters that we're playing as, like, fully embodying those ideals that we aspire to as a man, or as men. And they're trying to remove that.
System.
Pretty much.
So like when they make games that reflect this like weird this like reality distortion thing they have, these games don't resonate with anybody else other than other weird people. Is it with Gen Z? No, it didn't. It's millennials that did this. No, it's like people my age. 100% my fault. Absolutely my fault. Like people that I went to school with are the ones that are causing this to happen.
Interesting.
Hatred, fear, and resentment towards minority groups, which they think they are empowering. Instead, they are framing marginalized groups as villains and painting targets on their backs. And this has happened because of the incompetent implementation of supposed diversity in media. We cannot
what is this guy saying?
Because these people don't know what real diversity is. They don't understand what real diversity is.
Okay, I
These are
could
people
agree with
probably
that,
grew up in
but
gated
what is
communities.
the
They
other
went to,
guy?
like a 95% white high school. Like, you know, they had like one black friend that every time that, you know, that the friend gets in the car, they turn on hip hop. Like they don't understand actual diversity, right? They don't understand how to like actually like interact with a minority, right? Or how to be around the minority. Like how to be around the minority. Like what the fuck are you even talking about? You know,
I know, why would you even say it like that?
Just
It would
go fucking talk to him, you fool.
Yeah.
It's so weird, man. No social skills. Yes, exactly. And like this is basically what's happened, is that we've had the social rules of the world be dictated by people that have no social skills.
Yeah.
So everything is catered down to the lowest common denominator.
They're in their heads.
You can't have any authenticity.
They only
any
relate to the
genuine
world
moments,
as some
any,
schema in their
you know,
head.
real investment, because everything needs to be counterbalanced with some degree of brevity because of the insecurity of the writers. It's so lame. Yeah, we have Khadgar in a wheelchair. Yeah, exactly. It's so fucking ironic that these people are more racist than people that actually identify as racist. I think that
And
it's
they
an
don't even-
entire
they're not even
subculture
aware
that
of
they
it.
live inside of, and they actually are. Like, it's not even about, like, any sort of gender or race or anything like that. It's about this subculture and the values of this subculture. Like, once you view the subculture as a religion, like any sort of, like, a cult, I think a lot of it makes a lot more sense, because a lot of the things that different cults do, they behave the same way.
Yeah.
Real racists seem less racist to me. Well, these people are more racist, I think, in some cases, because they're trying not to be, so they think that it's okay.
Back to
Whereas
what he
real
was
racists-
saying there, it's like there's 2 types of people in the world. Those who have their moral standards, they rely on the group for those moral standards, and so they're more flexible, you could say, with their standards. And then there's another set of people who are who believe more in a transcendent kind of more moral standard, and so they're less prone to change or less prone to openness with their. So you either fall on one side or the other, and it seems like the Democrat Party and the liberals usually attract more like group-centered thinkers, or more, you know what I'm trying to say. And then the right and conservatives and Republican Party seems to attract people who believe in a moral standard outside the group. I think that's like the most distinguishing mark that you can make, and then everything flows from there. The way they view reality just flows from that. Yeah.
People at least try to talk around it, you know?
To go back to a time.
It's like the interview where the white people thought that black people didn't like. Well,
but just to go back to that point real quick. Everybody's supposed to be able to balance those two things. But everyone, and obviously everyone possesses some measure of each one. But it's like, which one do you are gravitating more towards? Group or transcendent moral standard?
Well, black people, they don't know where the DMV is. They don't know how to use the
that was the video he watched the other day. That's ridiculous.
What? That was painful. What? They don't have data on there. They can't use phones. Crazy. Who thinks that? Too many people. You know who thinks that? The people that are trying to get you fired for not thinking that.
Yeah.
Media.
Yeah.
We cannot afford to go back to a time when hatred and fear was allowed to rule our hearts and minds. No more. To you radicalized extremists, receiving millions of dollars to produce products for stroking your own egos instead of serving the gamers, I say to you, no more.
No more.
To you tyrants who fund this radicalized movement, who focus on pandering instead of creating something of value, I say to you, no more.
I think the truth is, like, it's really funny because, like, they're going to keep making games like this. Here's what I think happened.
I don't know.
I think that...
I mean, they will, but it's going to be...
Like, I would say, like, woke
less
stuff
and less.
was, like, way more popular in, like, 2018 to, like, 2022. Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah. But then lockdowns happened.
Right? And so, like, you see a lot of games that were probably, like, it's dying. Yeah, I think it is dying out.
Social structure started to disintegrate.
In some cases, right? People are fed up now. Yeah.
Or break down, I should say.
So
not
I think that what
disintegrate.
happened is that these games were conceptualized around then, and, like, the culture kind of changed, and now people are less accepting of it. That's what I think kind of happened.
Oh, I see. These are just because they were already baking in the oven, and now they're just coming out right now. So the trends changed faster than a game could be developed.
I say to you, no more.
I say to you, you know what somebody needs to do? They need to send that person an application to DoorDash. Because they're looking for a new job right now. Like, they don't know what they're going to do.
Oh, the Concord
Maybe they can
developers?
start streaming. The Aspen Watcher? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, send them an application for DoorDash. Do you think DEI in some form is needed? Usually no. Not really. I mean, I think that things like that happen naturally when you just have people that are able to interact with each other with, like, no real boundaries. Like, I don't know about you guys, but, like, any time that I was, like any, like, for example, like a WoW Guild meetup or something like that, I see in, like a BlizzCon, right? You go back, you look at, like, WoW Guild meetups at BlizzCons, every single one of them is diverse. Every single one. So, like,
yeah,
and, like, how many
people
of you guys, when you
people
played
like
Xbox
stuff.
Live, you were playing with people that were, like, just different races or from different countries. They're all like that. So if you just allow people to interact naturally, this will happen. And it will also not happen in some circumstances, right? It will. Like, there will be groups of people that are like, oh, we only want white people, like, we're racist. Like, yeah, sure, like, it's whatever, right? But, like, that's not really a norm.
Well, that's a rare exception.
Rejoice. Celebrate my...
Nerds already have a hard enough time finding people to enjoy the thing they enjoy, so they ain't gonna make some racially motivated, you know, segregating factor. They're gonna be like, nah, come, we need more people. Nerds are loners, right? They need people. They need anybody they can get.
Today, we tear down a tyrant. Let this be a warning to all the AAA development studios and publishers out there. The balance of power has shifted. There is no amount of money you can pour...
I think it's not even the balance of power have shifted. I think it's been realized. I think gamers now realize that if you collectively get together and enough people don't want something, they can actually change the course and the outcome of a game. Because this absolutely can happen. And I think it's been proven time and time again.
Gamers said no.
It took long enough? Yeah,
they just realized they had the power all along.
The problem with talking about woke stuff online is there's legit bigots, and it feels weird to share a side with them personally.
I mean, yeah, but a lot of that's manufactured, so that you do feel weird about it.
Communists that would kill a bunch of people? No, because everybody knows there's a big difference. Sharing a side with weird to share a side with them personally, it doesn't feel weird to me. Like, the leftists feel weird sharing a side with people that were, like, communists that would kill a bunch of people? No,
they
because
don't.
Everybody knows there's a big difference.
Yeah.
Just because somebody likes socialism doesn't mean that they like democratic national socialism like in Nazi Germany. Of course not.
You can like aspects of it.
Like, of course that's not
a
the way
weirdo.
People think. That's silly. Everybody knows.
Plus, you can kind of know that
problem, right? Like
people generally care.
This is the dishonest hyper reality that people live in. Like what he's saying. Like this isn't the way normal people think. It's just intellectual dishonesty. Yeah, that's not how it is.
Yeah, we chillin'.
Nuance is wild. Well, people don't want nuance because if you add nuance, then they can, you know, they lose power. Sometimes chat is quite bigoted. Of course it is. There's 30,000 people watching the channel. Do you really think that there's not, like, what do you think the odds are that there's going to be somebody who's racist in here? 100%.
Well, of course there's odds, but a lot of time people
So
are just
what?
doing it just to be
Like,
fucker,
okay.
just to be a fucker.
Oh, wow.
To marketing, to hide the flaws of a product created by the wrong people with the wrong intentions. The balance of power has shifted in a way that you cannot control.
Thank God.
Your audience has a voice. They have power, and they are your equals. September the 3rd.
Well, they're not the equals. They're actually like, they're the ones that make the decision. It's the customer's always right. Like, you can...
Here's an important observation. I wish that he would just tighten his tie a little bit more. Just a little bit. Then it would look so sharp, but it's just kind of, just a little, and so it's slightly sloppy anyway.
You can say like the audience is sexist or whatever you want, but at the end of the day, you're still going to be looking for a new job when your product doesn't sell. Like, that's it. You know, like there's a definite like finality of it.
Remember this. Let it be heard. All across the world, today is the day we took back the video game industry.
I hope so.
To any developers or publishers out there who would dare to call my fellow gamers my people, talentless freaks, do this at your own peril.
Gamers
because
rise
I will
up.
not stand idly by and let you demean my people. Lastly,
This is so good.
to Sony, you have
So
earned some
dramatic, I
respect
know.
by issuing full refunds to all the paying customers of Concord.
That's actually a really good point. Sony did pull a really big W there.
Yeah, they had to though.
They actually, like, as I said, they just totally pulled the plug, and
They
gave
had to
everybody
staunch
their money
the
back.
bleeding.
They didn't try to like, oh, we're gonna try to drag you along and everything like this. No, they just straight up pulled the plug and said, nope, we're gonna give you your money back. Sorry about that. Yep, my bad. Oops.
Yeah.
Because you think about it, right? That's huge.
That is actually.
This is the best course of action you could have taken. Were I to give you a review on your performance in this situation,
It's an A.
I would say 7 out of 10.
I'd say it's an A.
Good.
Good one.
Lol.
Good one. Yeah, real good one. Can I just fuck around with DEI?
'Cause that's what the game got.
Minority. I don't really care that Concord wasn't good. Another DEI game flopped. Oh well. I think that it really matters a lot. This is. Like, I loved how dramatic this was and how crazy. This was great. I do think it's unironically a gamer. It's a gamers rise up shit. Because like I think people and like players are starting to realize that collectively, if they can get together, if enough people can get together, they can determine the direction of whether a game is successful or not. And I think you saw that with things like Helldivers in positive ways, same like with Pow World and also with Wukong. But you're also seeing it in negative ways, like with things like Dustborn or with Concord or with maybe a handful. The funny thing is I can't even remember the other names, right? Because they're so dead. So yeah, next is Ubisoft. I'll link this guy's channel. This guy is great. I fucking love this. And I think a lot of people again have been what's the word for it?
Sungrand Studios.
They've been like shamed into thinking that their opinion isn't valid as a customer. And I think that now you've seen so much people speaking out against it that people don't feel like that they have that shame anymore. Because I think that a lot of people really underestimate the power of public pressure and the power of like public consensus pressure. And I think that's really what happens to a lot of people is like they get trapped in that and they don't want to go outside of that box because they're afraid they could get in trouble or something bad could happen to them or whatever, right? Why do you care about this? So sick of the gaslighting?
Secure by groupthink.
Well, the thing is, like, at the end of the day, the reason why I care about it is that I think a bunch of weird, annoying, freakish.
Because you don't believe there's a transcendent ideal out there that will protect you.
Have taken over games and they write games like losers. They write the games for losers. They're not interesting. They're fucking boring. The characters aren't charismatic. Everything about the stories are garbage. They're just unlikable people. They make unlikable characters. There's unlikable gameplay. There's nothing good about them. And so why do I care about it? It's like, well, if somebody came into your house and started shitting on your floor, and then you say, get out of the house, and you say, well, why? Why do you care about this? Well, because you came into my fucking house.
The house of gamers, motherfucker. Get out. Yeah, bunch of phonies. And then this happened. Oh, this happened over the past weekend. People found out that they could double their money or some shit like that with Chase bank accounts. Have you guys heard of
the fact
this?
that I think TikTok is a net negative, a vehicle for the social contagion that most of us know as wokeness or the woke mind virus. But now it has led to actual morons ending up going to prison because they're so stupid that they think a Chase bank glitch, okay, is anything but simple check fraud. And some of these idiots are $30, $40, $50,000 in the hole after they thought what? They were going to write a check and then cash it before the system figured it out. It's called check fraud. I can't. This is the dumbest TikTok.
Oh, that was why I went wild because of TikTok?
It targets the dumbest people on the planet, and they're going to
Yo,
prison.
dude.
Surprise! That's the glitch. A quote glitch. The Chase Bank ATMs, which allow customers to withdraw money from their account after depositing fake checks for large sums, has seen a wave of people flaunt their cash online. Let me read that again. ATMs allowing customers to withdraw money from their accounts after depositing fake checks for large sums. I've seen waves of people flaunt them. Do they not think they're going to prison for this?
Bruh.
Check fraud is a serious crime. It appears some Chase customers wrote checks with outlandish amounts.
There's a paper trail for everything.
Theirs,
Why would they think
which
they could
had
get
some
away
form
with
of the
that?
Infinite money hack. But experts say this isn't a
Infinite
harmless
money
life hack,
hack?
rather a classic case of check fraud, which is of course punishable by fines and jail time in serious cases.
That's crazy.
Social media users who, quote, tried the hack reported seeing the money initially reflected in their account balance or were able to get cash from the ATMs before their fake checks clear. They're just bouncing checks.
Yeah.
This isn't a glitch. This is just floating a check that you know is going to bounce. It's called committing a crime. I can't believe people are this stupid. However, Chase, one of the oldest banks in the country, was quick to crack down, leading many customers posting update videos where they were devastated over huge negative balances in their account. Devastated? You stole that money. You wrote a bad check knowingly, withdrew the money, and I wonder. I mean, it's like these other people who would do this with, like, they would like say, oh, I committed credit card fraud and I used it to buy this Rolex. Haha, anybody can follow my system. What? Literally what? No, it's just check fraud. You're just breaking the law.
Oh my god.
We're aware of the incident and it's been addressed. Regardless of what you see online, depositing a fraudulent check and withdrawing funds from your account is fraud, plain and simple. Look at these people lined up at the ATM. Every one
Bro,
of them
for
is going to
real?
jail. Every one of them. Like, are you?
That many people? They just. What do they think is gonna happen?
Joking? Chase declined to comment any further on how people were able to circumvent safety protocols. One of the most recognizable videos to come out of the short-lived trend of check fraud showed a man walking out of Chase Bank branch in Yonkers, New York, and cheering as he fanned out a wad of cash. 3 of his friends surrounded him as they all celebrated their ill-gotten gains. You mean theft? Then they cruised the streets hanging out of their car, holding on to $100 bills in their hands and beaming with their Chase. Are they this stupid? I mean, what? What does that even mean? They actually thought that this was like an actual glitch? They thought this was like, oh, this will never get back to me. This will never get back to me.
Bro's literally believing they live in
name,
GTA or
address,
something
and
like
social
that
security
in a
card attached.
fucking video
What?
game.
Other videos show dozens of people lining outside of Chase branches, allegedly hoping to exploit the supposed glitch. The euphoria was short-lived, though, as people began to share screenshots of their Chase accounts with scarily large negative balances. Here's one guy, 31,000.
What do I even do now, bro?
Here's one guy, negative 11,000.
Give it back.
Watching the Chase Bank glitch backfire on people dumb enough to believe it. Yeah. People putting themselves in generational debt by using the Chase glitch so they can buy a nice car that they'll own for 2 days before all their assets are seized by the bank. One visibly distressed man showed pending deductions from his account balance, one for 31,000, another for 7,000. Both were due at an ATM deposit. Frick, man, he said as he rubs his face. They really told me to tap in. The next day it was supposed to clear, but look at my account. Another person showed their account was nearly $11,000 in the red after taking part in the trend. Many people quick to take the opportunity to make fun of people who fell for the get rich quick scheme through snappy memes. One person joked that people are putting themselves in generational debt. We obviously get it. Chase Bank glitch. Look at this stuff.
Like your grandfather's bank, right? It's been around for years. They're not the one to play with. All I see is bank glitch. People depositing checks into their account. And then y'all talking about it on the TikTok? People are less than smart. Chase Bank is going to come for y'all.
Yes.
This little glitch scammy thing that y'all doing, money today is problems tomorrow. But go ahead and do y'all. Y'all playing around with Chase. This ain't no Bank of America, Capital One. This is Chase.
I don't really think it matters what the bank is. I don't think it matters at all what the bank is. Like, what the Chase Infinite Money glitch is fraud.
Yeah.
ATM Infinite Money glitch. It's a little crazy, but give me a minute, I'll explain it all to you. Hi, I'm Jim, financial educator at walletHacks.com.
You don't have to be a financial educator to not be a moron.
Follow me, I'll sound smarter than your friends. So what people discovered over the last few days is that Chase had a problem with their ATMs. They were able to deposit checks and get the balances and were able to withdraw them. Chase was pretty on top of it. Within a day, it was all fixed, and people that were doing this were seeing big holes on their accounts or huge negative balance. Bank errors in your favor are almost never in your favor. In the case of this glitch, it was just check fraud.
Yeah, right.
You're gonna get in huge trouble if you do something like this. And everyone who did this, I mean, I don't know what you were thinking, but it was obviously fraud. This isn't like when the bank makes an error, a bank error in your favor, where they deposit a large amount.
I really thought they were playing
Monopoly,
Monopoly, bro.
Just because money appears in your account doesn't mean that it's
Oh shit!
yours. And if you spend it and are forced to give it
I've
back,
seen that in
you have to figure out a way to
Monopoly
pay it back.
before.
Under the law, it's known as unjust enrichment. It's
Yeah.
You got money that wasn't yours, that wasn't supposed to be yours, and it was a mistake, and so you need to give it back. Bank errors they're never in your favor. They'll just cause you headaches. And if you ever see money just suddenly appear and you don't know why, it's important that you talk to the bank.
You better investigate.
Which is great for learning, but if you watch a viral video about a Chase ATM Infinite Money glitch hack, like, you have to know that that's not something that you should be doing, and that all these people that took advantage.
No, these people are playing Monopoly.
Yeah,
They're playing Grand Theft Auto, dude.
You
They
took
don't
a
care.
30 grand. You
They are playing a video
knowingly
game.
committed check fraud. You moron. By the way, that's fake money.
What?
I mean, it's obviously fake money. But people are stupid. This guy's 40 grand in the hole.
Wait, I bet,
hope
dude.
it's
I
fake.
wonder how many.
I hope.
I wonder how many people were trolling. They're like, look at all this. And then you got a bunch of clowns who actually went and tried to do it for real. Oh my gosh.
It's fake.
Oh, this is the video I saw.
Next day was supposed to clear. Look at my account, yo.
What did you think?
What
did you think was going to happen?
Yeah, that's the video I saw.
I'm legitimately curious. Please tell me how you saw this going. I just don't understand. I don't understand how you saw this going.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I wrote a bad check. You know, by the way, like there's a daily cash limit for withdrawals at ATM, so it's hard to understand how this could happen. Well, you could take, you know, you could go into the bank and make a cash withdrawal. But again, all of this is just absolute morons. Morons.
All right. Oh, then there was a crazy.
4 people were killed and dozens others injured in a shooting at a high school.
Jonathan Siri has new details just announced by investigators.
This happened today, right?
Shots fired at a Georgia high school leads to a chaotic scene near the small town of Winder, about 60 miles northeast of Atlanta. Officers from several agencies swarming Appalachia High School as students rushed to take shelter in a nearby football field.
I was in the gym and I didn't know it was real, and like I heard the sirens and everything, and like towards the end of it, like I heard screaming.
Yes, sir.
Tell me about that. When and what you heard.
Just multiple gunshots, rapid fires, and like 2 times, maybe like 2 rounds. Like it was just constant, and it just didn't stop.
It was scary. Like,
damn,
my heart was kind of racing. I didn't even have my phone or anything, so like I couldn't talk to my mom.
Police say the shooting started around 9:30 Wednesday morning. Multiple people were injured, and a suspect has been taken into custody. The FBI's Atlanta field office and ATF have now joined the investigation. Attorney General Merrick Garland saying agents are on the ground coordinating with state and local law enforcement.
I'm devastated for the families who have been affected by this terrible tragedy. The Justice Department stands ready to provide any resources or support that the Winder community needs in the days ahead.
According to an Education Week analysis, there have been 22 school shootings so far this year that have resulted in injuries or deaths. This one happened a little less than a month into the new school year.
I'm just glad that he's okay. I know some families are not so lucky, but I'm glad he's okay.
The White House says President Biden and Vice President Harris have been briefed on the incident, and the administration stands ready to provide support if needed. In Atlanta, Jonathan Siri, Fox News.
That's wild. Wow, it's kind of weird to move from that over to gaming again. PS5 Pro reveal date. This is an update from TCMF Games Official. I basically got clickbaited by the cool I don't know if this is what they're actually gonna look like, but let's see.
Recent news: the PlayStation 5 Pro's power leaks, and it's a beast. And let's discuss the PlayStation 5 Pro reveal date. Now that's Wednesday. Those are the stories we cover today. And if you can hit that like button, thank you to those that do it. And as always, it's very
forwarding Red
First,
Gaming
yes or
Tech
no, did you
video.
buy Concord or not? We're gonna be talking about. Let me know down in the comments below. Now, diving into the first story of the video, Sony shocked everyone with recent news. Reading from GameSpot, Sony's latest big exclusive Concord launched on
okay.
5 as well. Their numbers there was like 50 hero shooters, so I might not have been way to 150,000 or next week, pretty much. That's it. That's all we have. Now, the original theory was that Sony would announce it this week before the launch of Atom. Diving into the second story of the video, the PlayStation 5 Pro reveal date. So I said on Monday, if there was no news by now, we can talk about the reveal date for the PlayStation 5 Pro because it's getting pretty narrowed down at this point. We know from Bill Kuhn that the PlayStation 5 Pro will be announced in the first half of the month, so it's this week or next week, pretty much. That's it. That's all we have. Now, the original theory was that Sony would announce it this week before the launch of Astrobot because there might be a PlayStation 5 Pro Easter egg in the game, and who knows, there still might be one, and that's how Sony decides to reveal the Pro. Probably not, but we'll see. But I think at this point, we have to consider they might actually just put out a blog post with reasons why you should get the PlayStation 5 Pro and just rely on everyone else to share that information with their own audiences. I personally hope that's not the case, and they actually have an event for this thing hyping us up. The PlayStation 5 Slim from last year
was announced with a random blog
post on a Tuesday, so that's an option. Tuesday, September 10th.
Did they make a big event for that?
I can't really relate this to the PlayStation 4 Pro's announcement because Sony confirmed the PlayStation 4 Pro meeting about a month in advance in August before the September meeting event. But again, that's a different Sony back in 2016. The PlayStation 5 itself was confirmed to be a thing with a blog post in 2019. Take that in if you don't remember that. Now, obviously, for the PlayStation 5, we later got a proper event showcasing the games coming, but it's just funny to remember they confirmed the existence of the PlayStation 5 with a blog post in 2019. If Sony is going to have a proper event, then it could be announced a week in advance, which would mean an announcement tomorrow or Friday at the latest, confirming an event. If that does not happen, then it's probably a PlayStation blog post sometime next week with the confirmation of the PlayStation 5 Pro, maybe videos showcasing its improvements over the base PlayStation 5, and maybe even a video from Mark Cerny showcasing why you should get this one if you care about power and performance. This is why you should get this one, and you have a video of Mark Cerny convincing everyone. And all of this will happen instead of an actual event where
I'm watching the gameplay, not even listening to the video.
See why we should get the PlayStation 5 Pro. It's probably going to be a blog post. I hope it's not. Let's see what happens. But you guys let me know if you think it'll be a blog post or an actual event. Let me know down in the comments below.
Okay.
And now diving into the final story of the video, the PlayStation 5 Pro's power leaks. Reading from WCCF Tech, the PlayStation 5 Pro's performance is expected to be in the ballpark of the Radeon 7700 XT GPU, but with some improvements in ray tracing performance, according to a well-known leaker. Setting expectations in check, well-known AMD leaker Kepler revealed on X that the new is close to the 7700 XT rasterization and slightly faster in ray tracing. This information falls in line with everything we've heard so far, as the console is set to bring a
very cool. And then I pulled this up yesterday, but I didn't watch it, so let's watch it today. Is 12 gigabytes of GPU VRAM enough for the latest AAA games on the PC? Digital Foundry has an opinion on that. I'm pretty sure this is from their podcast.
Hey DF crew, I've been concerned about my RTX 4070 Ti's obsolescence in the next few years. I recently watched a YouTuber called Daniel Owen, his video on 12 gigabyte
Daniel Owen. I have something to watch him.
Several titles with RT and frame gen went above the 12 gigabyte frame buffer. Will this be another RTX 3070 situation where the GPU is capable but is held back by VRAM amount / bandwidth? Cheers! Exclamation point. Interesting point, Alex. I just actually googled the video that was being referred to here by Neo Tokyo. A lot of Nixis games in there.
Right.
What do you make of this?
I don't know what Daniel... I haven't watched Daniel Owen's video here, so I don't want to say anything wrong, but if you're just looking at a game about the amount of VRAM it uses on something like a 4090 or 7900 XTX, you won't get an appreciation of what that actually means for performance when it is limiting. So a good way to do that would be, and it's even not the best way, would be a 4060 Ti, right?
Yeah.
Versus 8 gigabytes versus the 16 gigabyte version, and then you'd see what its effect is on in games switching on and off settings and or just running the same thing.
Oh, that way you're only looking at 12 gigabytes.
Because you'll see either visual differences
or 8 versus 16.
The amount of, I've discovered over the years, is the amount of VRAM being used by a game is not indicative of the performance or the visual effect. So, because games will cache things, they will consume VRAM with no purpose. They will have memory leaks. There's a lot of reasons why they won't actually be using the VRAM in any sort of noticeable visual performing way. Okay, so there's that. The second thing is games have settings. You should be comfortable with turning them down. Not every setting actually matters for visuals if the performance is great. And the last thing is, I don't know if I would use Nixie's ports as a great example anymore for the be-all and end-all of video memory performance in games. They are a particular example of them. You know, they've created a specific system to utilize system memory that stresses the PCIe bus with the user not knowing necessarily that is the thing that is limiting the performance it seems. And so people make choices there about
the way that
quality or even
PlayStation handles memory versus
and I feel like their ports are going to have to
a GPU.
So maybe that'll improve and change in the future. But I feel like now 12 gigabytes at 1440p with reasonable settings are going to be really good for a long time. I think that is going to be fine, but I do not want to promise if you put on like path tracing and frame gen, that you will be perfect, because I know those things are consuming.
Also considering,
I would also
matters what resolution you're playing.
Yeah, I'm just taking a look at Daniel's video here. It's really comprehensive. It starts with the Nixis games, Ghost of Tsushima and Horizon Forbidden West, goes on to Hellblade 2 at 1080p, 1440p, a range of settings there. Same with Avatar, Alan Wake 2, Cyberpunk, including RT Overdrive.
It's actually a big shout out
in terms of textures back in the day.
That was a dumb one,
yeah. Starfield, Call of Duty. Yeah, Daniel's top video looks pretty comprehensive to me. There's some interesting comparisons there between the 7700 XT, which is a 12 gig card, and the RX 6800 non-XT, which is a 16 gig card.
Right.
So that's an interesting way to do the comparison. Another one could be simply to take a 16 gig card, and I believe you can actually allocate memory in Windows that basically blocks it out from games. Which might be another way forward to take a look at this. I think you're quite right though, Alex.
They're kind of giving them little tips.
You want settings to have, to address not just today's games, but the hardware of the future. But that doesn't necessarily mean that using high textures rather than ultra textures is actually going to deliver a quantifiably worse experience, especially during the run of play. So it is always a case of marshalling your resources on PC ports and tweaking the settings to get best results. It might not be best of the best results, but for now I think 12 gigs is a pretty good place to be for 1440p.
1440p.
You have anything to add on that, Oliver?
Yeah, I think it depends on the engine. Just in this case, the more Unreal Engine, the better. Because the engines scale VRAM differently, right? Some do it more elegantly than others. I also think people do need to play with their settings, like Alex said. But I also would say that the vast majority of PC GPUs have 12 gigabytes or less of VRAM, and people are targeting those PCs. And many of them have 8 gigabytes of VRAM, and obviously that's a bit of a problem, but most games can run just fine at reasonable settings, at reasonable resolutions on GPUs with 8 gigabytes of VRAM. You might not be able to turn up the texture settings to the maximum, like The Last of Us, but you should be able to get a good experience. And also, most
the only reason why the
using,
Sony ported games from PS5 to
that's a good point.
PC
so
had the issues was because of the different memory structure. So much faster on the PlayStation 5 than it is on the PC.
Probably that should be fine throughout the generation, unless the PC ports are just coming in and not doing their job at allocating that RAM correctly. So, yeah, in general, I think it's probably not going to be much of an issue. And yeah, reported VRAM use and actual performance issues can be quite different things depending on the circumstance as well.
Yeah, Daniel's methodology is quite interesting. It's basically to look at average FPS and 1% lows. The 1% low idea is actually really good because stutter is generally caused when one cause of stutter is swapping textures in and out of memory across the PCIe bus, which you've noted several times in your content, Alex, can be problematic if there's constrained PCIe bandwidth.
Yeah. Hellblade 2, as well as Ghost of Tsushima, where Ghost of Tsushima it's like more like a constant issue, but in Hellblade it's like periodic moments in the campaign where it happens. I'm actually a little bit curious about why is that way in Hellblade 2 given the Unreal Engine there. I don't know.
Oh, and I saw this. Is it I think it's Andrew Wilson debating with Lauren Chen, who's had some controversy lately, I believe. Yo, that's loud. That's fucking loud.
Sorry, the current push toward things like, let's just say, allowing men in women's spaces if they identify as trans. Would you see that as a feminist problem or as a woke problem?
I would see that particular issue is a feminist issue. What happens here is that women have gone ahead and voted to allow these things to push through. The reason that this is a movement against patriarchal structures, because men and their sports are really the only sports that matter. Nobody watches women's sports at all. They just don't even bother with it, and I don't blame them for not bothering with it. Boring as hell. Women have decided to use the power of the vote to institute these policies, and I say let them suffer by those policies that they have instituted. I have no problem with men going in to these women's spaces, for instance, and beating the shit out of all their records and completely dismantling them. What the hell do I care about women's sports for? They voted for this shit. They can deal with it.
I mean, I don't disagree with that, but if we look at the belief that, for example, gender is not something based on sex or chromosomes, but that it is a social construct and therefore open to self-identification, I think it goes a little bit deeper than just the rejection of
Gender is a social construction. It does not exist inside of objective reality. It's a made-up term utilized by woke leftist scumbags. It has nothing to do with objective reality. All that exists is biological sex. The norms which come with biological sex are intrinsic to the ontology of human beings.
Do you view the belief that we see...
Damn. All I'm gonna say is I guess it merely matters your worldview, your presuppositions that you bring to your worldview. And if you know that someone has a different one from you, then you gotta ask, well, is what they're saying even consistent with their worldview?
Basically, in all matters of the world, whether that's like sports, we also see it, I mean, even in terms of like medicine, it's being conflated. Do you think that that is something that feminists have pushed for, the conflation of biological sex with gender?
Yes, because it assists with trying to destroy the ontology of what is man. So it's an attempt to rip a fabric in the hole of truth of what is man. So yes, it is a pushed feminist. That's why you see the infighting in the feminist crowd from those who try to move over into a more conservative camp, like Rowling or J.K. Rowling, for instance, who says no. We fought for women's liberation. This was not what that was supposed to be, but an entailment of the dismantling of patriarchy is that men can no longer protect you from yourself.
There you go.
And that is why patriarchy is so important, is we also protect women not just from external forces, but protect them from their own choices.
From their own choices from each other?
Dismantling of patriarchal systems, blurring the line between what is a man and a woman, has long been a feminist doctrine. When you're talking about gender, I don't really understand why you think that this is something other than a social construction. It does not exist. It can't be touched. It can't be tasted. It can't be seen. It definitely does not exist as a reality absent the mind. Why do you think that gender exists absent the mind? Why isn't there only sex?
I don't think that gender is distinguishable from sex, and for the longest time, those terms were used basically synonymously.
Yeah, I agree that people use them interchangeably. But the reason that feminist ideology pushes the trans ideology specifically is because it dismantles ontologically what is a man. That's what it does. That's what the point is of feminism, is to dismantle patriarchal systems. It has nothing to do with anything else. It's always been
masculinity,
a patriarchal system. It may sound simplistic, but actually the conflation with woke does more damage. So if you conflate feminism with wokeism, it does more damage to the message than just explaining that patriarchal systems are necessary. And that is what the fight is really about. The fight is about a patriarchy versus a non-patriarchal society.
Pretty
Very
much.
simple.
Crazy. Sometimes it's good just to have that, like, lucid clarification. You know what I'm saying? I'll put a little like on that. Put a little like on that. All right, well. Kind of a slow night. But that's okay. People don't usually show up until like 2 hours later anyway, and I started late today. So, next on the agenda is to talk about my novel update. All right. And then, let's see. Let me bring this little notepad up for you guys right there. I will make it bigger. Don't you worry about that. Don't you worry. And I think I could just do what? This. All right. Is that viewable? Can everybody see that? All right. So we have to update this now that I've worked on my novel more today. All right. So here we are. We're still draft 6. We're still on part 2, but now we're on. I think we're on 27. I think I got to 27 today. Let me confirm. Let me confirm. Let's see here. Okay. I think I'm like midway through this chapter, so 105, 944 words. Yo, it's still a lot. 105, 944. Alright, and I'm pretty sure this is chapter 27. Yeah, this one was kind of hard to write today. I'm going to have to review this chapter again tomorrow. Chapter 27. It's kind of hard to describe it out of context, but the main character is basically trying to get a grip on... Because one of the themes of the novel is... How do you kind of become aware of your blind spots? And one of the things I continually kind of use in a novel is I show the character kind of like stuck in his head, you could say. And then I show how these obtrusive unexpected things happen in reality that kind of like slap him. You know what I'm saying? Like he has this particular plan. He's in his head. This is gonna happen. But then all of a sudden, reality throws something unexpected right at him, and he's like, "What the fuck is that?" And so he has to wrestle with that. And I basically think that those are the things that are a reminder that you need to like take a step back and be like, okay, what's going on right here? You know, like I'm missing something. Because my plan didn't account for this unexpected thing, you know? So maybe my plan's off a little bit, or maybe my perception is off a little bit. Maybe, you know, how can I change, how can I fix that? But it's not that easy. So I'm trying to depict that through a combination of him kind of, you could say, dealing with the passions, dealing with temptation, wanting to be better than them from a religious perspective, wanting to be better, but then not being able to measure up, you know, to your ideal. And so, yeah, so that's what I'm trying to depict. So that was kind of hard. I have to reread it again tomorrow to make sure, like, what I'm trying to say flows. Because one of the fears that I have is that parts of it might seem, like, preachy. And I'm like, man, if, you know, Dostoevsky wasn't a... Well, I mean, I guess he did... See... Dostoevsky had characters that would kind of go on long diatribes about what they believed, so maybe maybe it's not that bad, you know, because it's more like he presents his worldview about the way he thinks it should be, and then he starts analyzing his behavior and is like, this is what I'm doing, you know, and why is there a discrepancy between these two things? And so he's trying to figure out, how do I bridge this gap, and how do I change myself, you know, and how do I change as a human being for the better, you know. So I'm trying to analyze that. So fuck, okay, good. Wish me luck, yo. But anyways, yeah. So current progress is draft 6, part 2, chapter 27. We're at about 105,944 words. I got a couple people reading the part 1, which is the 6th revision of part 1 is complete. So my sister is one of those people reading it, and I'm hearing good things. And luckily, I have a kind of sister who is not afraid to tell me how it is. So I'm definitely glad that she's enjoying the read. And one of my concerns was, is my novel easy to read, even though it's kind of like a lot of pages? You can see here, I'm a little bit less than halfway through if it's just going by words. The total amount of words. So it's 3 parts, 66 chapters, 20. I think the 3rd part is the most fast and streamlined because it's kind of like an art. Like I wrote it as like a you're on the roller coaster and it's at the end of the roller coaster, you know, and boom, the all the resolution to all the actions that have been going up the first 2 parts. So anyway, her feedback from my sister's good. She's saying even though it's long, it's still a fast read. And she says that she actually enjoys reading it, like it's an engaging read. So that's good to hear. But I also need to know, or at least I need to hear from some of the other people that are reading it. Like one of my friends is reading it. I haven't heard anything back from him yet. It's only been a few days anyway since I kind of gave this out. This is the first time I've actually given the whole part 1 out. I did have a blog like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 7 years ago. Anyway, where I was putting chapters up on a, but I think, anyway, yeah, I took that down because I wasn't updating it frequently. Anyway, so yeah, there we go with the novel progress. But overall, I'm gonna reassure myself about 27 as I reread it tomorrow, but up through chapter 26, I'm kind of pleased with it. I still feel there's some more. There might be like 1 or 2 more revisions, but hopefully those won't be as stretched out as it has been. So yeah, 12 years that I've been off and on. I've spent way too much time on this thing, but it's finally going to come to a close very soon. And I hope that you guys get to read it within the next 6 months. I'm hoping. Anyway, well, next, what are we doing next? We chilling, we vibing. There's someone out there. Hello to you. Hello to you. I think next I'm just gonna switch over to playing a little Contra. See how far we get in Contra. In one set of lives, I guess, or whatever. So let me get that set up real quick. I think I gotta go plug in the HDMI cable. Let's see. I'm going to come here. Oh wait, I gotta get rid of that. Oh wait, I think I need to change this too. From browser? Wait, is it the browser? Okay, and then I need to activate. Oh, I cancel. There it is. Good old classic Nintendo feel. Alright. Alright, where am I? Contra. Oh, damn, my room is so hot, dude. I got fans going, but it is still very hot. Hello. Let's do it. Let's do it. Give myself the maximum amount of lives that I can have, which is 7. And I got 3 continues, or no, I think it's 5 continues. But here we go. Here we go. How far can we get today? Oh! I messed up. Yo, that dog. It's that dog throwing me over there. There we go. There he is. He always throws me off when they're gonna run. Oh! Who? What? Oh, we download too much more than I would like to. Oh, I didn't hold the R button. Oh my god, I'm rusty right now. Literally just push forward. Oh wow. Wait, it usually has me go all the way through, but I don't know what happened. I took too much damage or something. Easy, 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 easy. Oh yeah, this one's powerful. I have to switch to this one because this one will kill the end boss for this level real good, like real good. Alright. Enemy destroyed. Flamer destroyed. Yo, I didn't make it. There we go. Couple bombs, couple bombs. Any moment now. Oh, I wasn't paying attention. I'm so fucking dumb. Oh my god. See, there you go. See, if I just was paying attention. Oh. Sorry, we got it though. We got it. We made it. We made it. We made it. Just it should be easier than that. It should be easier than that. I've been feeling off all day today anyway. No surprise. All right, we're gonna start over here and then just make our way all the way around. Yo! Why did it not go after him? Dude, this is not gonna be a good run. Oh my god. Oh, I got him. This guy's going. Dude, I hit R right there, thinking I was gonna fire a weapon. Actually, I think this is gonna be better. I got a new life. Alright, one more. Where is it? There it is. Oh. Okay, what's that? Oh! Oh, dang it. I didn't make a good choice. Oh! Where'd this guy go? Ooh. Oh man. Throw this, might as well use this. Man, why is he not flying up? Usually he flies up. This is so boring, oh my god. There we go. Here we go. Oh. I thought I was gonna take him out, but I get it. Okay. There we go. Hell yeah, there we go, there we go, there we go. Alright, moving on, moving on. Hurry up, hurry up. We got plenty more sights to see. Oh. Ah, shit. Woo! I should have used this. Fuck it. Oh man. Oh shit! I got way too low on it. I never die right there. Dang it. Oh. No. Bitch. Oh, why? Alright. That's a good one. Bro, I just off night, dude. Oh man. Whew. You know how you? I guess you have to already jump up. Dude, the flamethrower is the best, dude. Yo? Flamethrower is so good. Alright. Damn it. Hell yeah, dude. Look at that, bro. Oh yeah. I don't know what happened there. I thought something glitched. Oh! Oh, we're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. Oh, where's this guy gonna try to go? Yeah. Dude, this is so powerful. Alright. Hell yeah, we got this pattern going. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Oh! Hell yeah, dude. It is so powerful when you got these higher end missiles or some shit. Alright, now we're on the part where I need to practice a lot. Alright, let's see. Oh, wrong one. That was a mistake. Oh, that was a mistake. Oh, damn. Yo. Oh, bullshit. It's such bullshit. Ah. Yo. Bro, what? Okay. This is a spot to be in. That way they don't come behind me. No! Are you kidding me? It's, oh fuck, it's so dumb. So fucking dumb. Yo. Yo. Okay, we did it. Oh. Yo, this one's going fast. Oh. What? Alright. Oh. What is that? Okay, that's the furthest I've ever been. That is the furthest I've ever been. And we got lives. We got lives. So we're good. We're good. We're good. Or we got continues, I'd say. Oh! What? Okay. How do you Yo. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay, I'll take it. Okay. Oh. Yo, what? Okay. Okay, this is pretty epic. Holy. Oh, wait. Do I just keep juggling between them? Oh, I see. It's platforming. Oh, shit. Oh. Ooh. Ooh. Oh. Oh. Wild, bro. Oh. Yo. Okay, I'm dying like left and right. Fuck it. Okay. Oh, shit. Okay. Oh. Wait, what am I supposed to be doing? Am I supposed to be firing at him? Dude, that was so weird. Ooh! So yeah, you just gotta stay back in that corner and then fall back. Come out with him. And then fall back. Seems to be working. Okay, didn't work. I guess he's gonna cheat. Yeah, get out of here, bro. Oh, man. Alright, we'll see what happens. Oh! Bruh. Wait, I jumped though. Okay. Bro, okay, I keep trying to jump around him, but obviously that's not working. Oh, his chain is hurts me too. Okay, well, we wasted all our lives on that, so good one. Am I supposed to also? Yo, okay, if I'm shooting, I can't move. If I'm shooting, I cannot move. Alright, it's our last set of lives. This is it. This is my last set of lives. Bruh? Fuck you. Just get him out of here. Bro, there's literally... What am I supposed to do? Let's get this. Okay, this is actually very helpful. Alright. We're not gonna try to jump around him this time. We're just gonna do... Brother! Who said I would fall off? What? Ooh, that was... We got him pretty fast, actually. Okay. Fucking... Oh. Am I just supposed to survive? Oh. Oh! 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 Oh, I see. I gotta hit those guns. It's always great when you figure it out right at the very end. Well, now we know for next time. Well, we definitely made progress in that game. That is freaking cool. All the way to that end. And at the very end, we found out how to actually do something against it. Where before I was just jumping missiles and stuff like that. Like, who knows? Coolio, though. Coolio. So, I'm happy that I was able to get to the end of that level. That was the first time I've been at the end of that level. Alright, well, it's 10 o'clock. From here, I usually just like to chill and watch a debate. How long I've been streaming today? Not very long compared to usual. Yeah, only an hour and 41 minutes. Yeah, so gonna watch maybe a debate, I think. See if there's anything interesting, or maybe just like a documentary. I don't know. I feel like learning something, yo. Let's see. Save. Cool. And yeah, I need to. Oh, I saw this music going. Still be chilling in the back. Okay, let's pause this and let's do some of this. Just for a moment, while we'll be looking for some videos to watch. Oh, I don't even have the chat right here. What? That's embarrassing. Oh, remove. Yes. And then we're going to lol. Can't believe I didn't do that right before. But I feel like I don't like the way it looks right there. Anyway, whatever. There we go. Anyway, I still got a lot to learn about streaming. I still got a lot to learn. So let's see what's going on here. Yo? Okay, yeah. I may have watched that before, I don't know. Long time ago. I want to watch something from Andrew Wilson, actually. So we'll go to his. Wait, what? It's over here. Now let's see. I think there was a debate he was having he had recently. Yeah, this one, 3 months ago, which is that clip that we watched earlier. So, marriage in the West. I'm interested in that. I don't know these other people, but maybe eventually. Redeem Zoomer versus Luigi. Oh, vegan games versus Andrew Wilson. Feminism. Interesting. All right. Let's get the debate going. Alright, we'll stop our music.
announcement. This is an extra
All right.
Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Pseudo Intellectual Live. So happy to have you here, especially all you live viewers. And don't forget, if you are a podcast person, you can find Pseudo Intellectual basically anywhere you get your podcast. So please remember to like, subscribe, rate, all that good stuff. And actually, announcement, this is an extra episode this week because week after next, I will be out of town with my family on a vacation. Very excited for that. So don't be surprised if week after next I'm not here, and we will still be having another episode this Wednesday. And something I want to plug as well is that we're going to be going to Victoria, BC. There is a Reclaiming Canada conference that I will be hosting. Tickets down below in the description if you guys would like to join. And I will be not only hosting, but also having a bit of a debate with Lauren Southern, who I'm sure you guys know, about the place and status of women in right-wing politics, and I guess the nature of right-wing politics. But that brings me to today's guest, Andrew Wilson. If you don't follow Andrew, you can
Are you
find
going to ask her if she banged Destiny?
Banged Destiny?
You can ask her about that.
I've not heard anything about that.
Oh.
Probably will stay away from personal stuff like that.
I was just curious.
Okay, well, I mean, this...
Oh, I think he's talking.
Place and status.
Let me guess. He said something about Lauren Southern.
I guess the nature of right-wing politics. But that brings me to today's guest, Andrew Wilson. If you don't follow Andrew, you can.
Are you going to ask her if she banged Destiny?
Banged Destiny?
You can ask her about that.
I've not heard anything about that.
Oh.
Probably will stay away from personal stuff like that.
I was just curious.
Okay, well, I mean, this is, I guess, your intro, Andrew. Believer that Lauren Southern banged Destiny, and YouTuber as well, host of, I believe his show is called The Crucible. Thank you for coming on. This is going to be an interesting episode, I think, because I guess we're going to talk a lot about things like marriage, the red pill, feminism. But you're actually of the belief that I may be myself. I'm a feminist. I lean toward that in some regards. We're going to hear more about it from you, I suppose.
Yeah, well, I appreciate the conversation. Hopefully we can keep it good faith. I did request a moderator. That way we don't end up speaking past each other or yelling over each other, but perhaps one won't be necessary. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, my name is Andrew Wilson, host of The Crucible. It's the fastest growing debate channel on YouTube, to my knowledge. I'm a blood sports debater. I'm a political analyst and a political satirist. You can catch me on all sorts of different programs, including the Whatever Podcast. I'm regular there, regular Fresh and Fit, regular to most of the anti-feminist platforms which exist, as is my wife. I understand you have a kind of debate coming up with her as well. God help you on that. But
yes, we actually, sorry, I'll just quickly plug that. So next Friday, not this coming Friday, next Friday, me and Isabella Moody will be on The Culture War, hosted by Tim Cass, debating Pearl and Rachel Wilson, your wife, on, I guess, Christianity, marriage, relationships, etc.
Yeah, should be interesting. She's the best anti-feminist debater on the internet, so it should be interesting.
Well, I'm interested in that because I follow your wife on X, Rachel. I think it's Rach for Patriarchy if you guys don't follow her. I quite like her accounts. I have not seen very many things where I disagree with her on. And it's interesting because I feel like some of the things that Pearl says, I'm surprised that your wife would be in alignment with them. But I guess we'll, the four of us on that show can discuss that then and there. But for now, I think one of the things that would probably be a good place to start, as we discussed before we started going live, is what exactly these terms mean. When people call someone a feminist or we talk about feminism, what is that? What is the red pill?
So what is feminism to you and the red pill to you?
So, broadly, feminism, they say, like, oh, it's just equality between men and women in the legal sense, I think is where it started off. If we look at the modern feminist movement, I think there's not only the push for equality before the law for men and women, but also equity in basically
rip those
every
girls
domain,
apart on the
whether
Whatever
that's
podcast
political,
like a couple weeks ago.
social, and also we see a concurrent push to, I guess, derail family structures, whether that be, like the extended family, nuclear family, you name it. Feminism has done a lot more than just push for like equity. And we also see it overlapping with, I guess, intersectionalism a lot. It's very rare nowadays that you see a feminist who is not also talking about things like white privilege, straight privilege, you name it. So overall, it's a leftist ideology. And I guess
to me like you're conflating wokeism with feminism. Feminism is a rejection of patriarchy. That's all it is. The entailment of egalitarianism between men and women is a rejection of patriarchy. Who's the oppressor? If you're trying to be equal with the opposite sex, who would the oppressor be? What is the entailment there? The entailment would be men, or the oppressors. So it's a movement to reject patriarchal structures. That's what feminism is.
I like how he makes that specific.
So I don't necessarily disagree with that, but I would say if we're looking at the feminist movement and my problems with it, it extends a lot beyond just that.
Yeah, but I think it's because you conflate wokeism with feminism.
Yeah.
Feminism is simply put a rejection of patriarchal structures. That's it. The entirety of feminist ideology is to move away. So if you're thinking about things like the destruction of the nuclear family, this type of thing, the nuclear family has a head. The head is the man. If you have the extended cross-generational family, that's also a patriarchal system. The head is the man. If you're talking about the dismantling of the church is patriarchal. Christianity is a patriarchal structure. It's the rejection of patriarchy across the board. The entire movement of feminism has nothing to do with egalitarianism at all. It has to do with dismantling patriarchy. That is what the ultimate goal is.
Oh, interesting.
Well, again, I think when it comes to things like egalitarianism, that is not how I would define the modern feminist movement. But I think we're kind of seeing, like, we're splitting hairs here to a certain extent.
No, I don't think so.
We're making a semantic distinction with no merit. The semantics matter, especially when we're talking about these types of issues. So
I think he's getting right to the root.
Leftist progressive ideology, that's true. However, when you're talking about things absent a rejection of patriarchy, the right wing can be just as guilty of those things. So you can still be.
But I mean,
somebody
if we look at modern feminist, or sorry, the current push toward things like, let's just say, allowing men in women's spaces if they identify as trans, would you see that as a feminist problem or as a woke problem?
I would see that particular issue is a feminist issue. The problem
but
is.
how is it a rejection of patriarchy if we're talking about the recognition?
So what happens here is that women have gone ahead and voted to allow these things to push through. The reason that this is a movement against patriarchal structures, because men and their sports are really the only sports that matter. Nobody watches women's sports at all. They just don't even bother with it, and I don't blame them for not bothering with it. It's boring as hell.
There's a clip
women
we
have
watched earlier.
decided to use the power of the vote to institute these policies, and I say let them suffer by those policies that they have instituted. I have no problem with men going in to these women's spaces, for instance, and beating the shit out of all their records and completely dismantling them. What the hell do I care about women's sports for? They voted for this shit. They can deal with it.
I mean, I don't disagree with that, but if we look at the belief that, for example, gender is not something based on sex or chromosomes, but that it is a social construct and therefore open to self-identification, I think it goes a little bit deeper than just the rejection of
Gender is a social construction. It does not exist inside of objective reality. It's a made-up term utilized by woke leftist scumbags. It has nothing to do with objective reality. All that exists is biological sex. The norms which come with biological sex are intrinsic to the ontology of human beings.
All right, so do you view again, you can call it woke or feminist, do you view the belief that we see basically in all matters of the world, whether that's like sports, we also see it, I mean, even in terms like medicine, it's being conflated. Do you think that that is something that feminists have pushed for, the conflation of biological sex with gender? Do you think that feminism at its core is
because it assists with trying to destroy the ontology of what is man. So it's an attempt to rip a fabric in the whole of truth of what is man. So yes, it is a pushed feminist. That's why you see the infighting in the feminist crowd from those who try to move over into a more conservative camp, like Rowling or J.K. Rowling, for instance, who says no. We fought for women's liberation. This was not what that was supposed to be. But an entailment of the dismantling of patriarchy is that men can no longer protect you from yourself. And that is why patriarchy is so important, is we also protect women not just from external forces, but protect them from their own choices. And in this particular case, feminism, the dismantling of patriarchal systems, blurring the line between what is a man and a woman, has long been a feminist doctrine.
So basically, women did it to themselves. The reason why there's men playing women's sports is because women in early feminism, their whole point was to get rid of the masculinity, right? Not get rid of it, but just to neutralize it. In the sense of it neutralize patriarchy. That's what I mean. It wanted to get rid of patriarchy for sure. And so there's a conflation that she's making. That so Andrew says she's conflating wokeism and feminism. So he is obviously, but I guess could you have a form of wokeism on the right? Is that what he's saying? Anyway, I feel like what Andrew's saying is very consistent so far. Like as far as like getting to the root cause, and then now I could see for his argument he's gonna unpack what comes out after that. And so we're gonna be able to see, yeah.
Okay, I mean, I don't disagree with you there, but we can move on. Okay,
I would like to not move on. I would like to pin some more down here so that we can get this straight. So when you're talking about gender, I don't really understand why you think that this is something other than a social construction. It does not exist. It can't be touched. It can't be tasted. It can't be seen. It definitely does not exist as a reality absent the mind. Why do you think that gender exists absent the mind? Why isn't there only sex?
I don't think that gender is distinguishable from sex, and for the longest time, those terms were used basically synonymously.
Yeah, I agree that people use them interchangeably. But the reason that feminist ideology pushes the trans ideology specifically is because it dismantles ontologically what is a man. That's what it does. That's what the point is of feminism, is to dismantle patriarchal systems. It has nothing to do with anything else. It's always been a dismantling of patriarchal systems. It may sound simplistic, but actually the conflation with woke does more damage. So if you conflate feminism with wokeism, it does more damage to the message than just explaining that patriarchal systems are necessary. And that is what the fight is really about. The fight is about a patriarchy versus a non-patriarchal society.
So feminists are using trans stuff to break the patriarchy, but then it's backfiring? Is that what it is?
Well, I mean, in that point, though, I feel like you would be making many people feminists who not only don't support the modern feminist movement, but who might actually be considered, I mean, broadly speaking, allies in any type of policy you would try to...
Then they're not allies.
Sorry?
Then they're not allies. They're trying to dismantle patriarchal systems. They're not allies to the right. The Christian right is based around patriarchy. Christianity is a patriarchal system. It's a top-down patriarchal system. Your job as a wife, for instance, is to submit to your husband as you would unto the Lord. You can find this in Ephesians 22. right? The submission to him as unto the Lord. Your husband is submitting
I
to
think
the
it's
hierarchical church
5 or
authority.
6,
This is all patriarchal, top-down patriarchy. Same thing within governance. It was always supposed to be top-down patriarchy. This was never supposed to be a system which integrated women into positions of authority and power. That's insanity. And feminism is simply a push to dismantle patriarchal systems.
So if someone were to, let's say, argue for equal protection under the law, would you consider them a feminist between like men and women?
No. But I'm not really sure what that has to do with anything. So if you're asking
Well,
for equal protection...
When you talk about the, I guess, abolition of patriarchy, some people might say that, well, if you, for example, believe in, I don't know, women having inheritance rights, is that feminism?
Women have always had inheritance rights.
Well, but so you don't think that just demolishing that would be a feminist standpoint?
No, it's always been so.
No, I'm not asking whether it's always been so, but just like at its core.
Yeah, but I'm trying to get to the ought portion of the claim. So you're asking, ought this be true? But I'm trying to define what is the truth. So the truth is that when you're talking about female inheritance, right, that has always been the case that women could inherit. They could inherit property. They could inherit all these things. It's actually a feminist talking point. They could not. When it comes to ought they be able to do that under a patriarchal structure? They ought to be able to, yes. And there's always been a prescription so that they could.
Okay, what about something like women in the workplace?
Yeah, it's a bad idea. Now, women have always been allowed to work, and women ought to always be allowed to work. However, the incentives which are produced by the United States government are supposed to be for the health and the welfare of the nation. If you're talking about the health and welfare of the nation, then you want to push policy which will allow women to stay at home with their children, which is going to be the best setup possible. But again, this would be a pro-patriarchy position because you'd be allowing men at that point and incentivizing men to be the head of the household, the head of the family, to be the breadwinner. In this case, this would be considered oppressive from the feminist ethos.
So in terms of prescription versus description, then if we talk about patriarchy, do you think that is it a feminist talking point, is it a feminist policy to have egalitarian laws in regard to things like voting?
Yeah.
Like I'm of the belief that
all
for example,
egalitarianism which is moved from women's movements are always designed for a liberation from patriarchy. All. There's not any that are not. Anytime women collectively are pushing towards any type of what is considered egalitarianism, it is feminism. It is a dismantling of patriarchal structures and systems, period.
Okay, so the reason why I bring that up is because when it comes to, let's say, something like voting, right? So I'm not a fan of universal suffrage. I've talked about this on my channel. I'm in favor of, I think there's several different systems that could work. Maybe one vote per household with children and a married couple, service through citizenship, net taxpayers, property owners, you name it. If I believe that men and women would equally have the ability to earn that right, though in practice it would be overwhelmingly male. We know that from stats right now as to who exactly pays the most taxes and owns the most property. Would that be a feminist perspective that I have?
If the movement of that was not the end goal to make it patriarchal, then yes, it would be a feminist position, which is why I say that you're a feminist.
Is the intent matters more than, I guess, the outcome in that regard?
Well, no, the outcome matters more than the intent. The outcome is for patriarchy. That is the outcome we're looking for, is for a
the outcome would be more patriarchal.
It's like she's unaware that even though she's on the right, she's pushing things with a feminist bent, not knowing that ends up actually that later on down the road undermining her position on the right. And it's because it's a real thing, you know, like that has a real effect when you believe a certain thing, right? And you act that way. Like if you have women who are voting, well, they're gonna vote a certain way no matter what. Anyway, I think it's like that. But anyway, it's not abstract, it's actually real. Yeah, I'm not sure what I think. Like, I've been hearing more and more people saying stuff like that, Amanda, and it seems interesting. I think in the long run, to be honest, I think in the long run I could see myself being reasoned to that position, that hot take, you know. But I would still want to ask, like, okay, where do women have influence? And I guess, well, women would influence their husband or whatever, and then their husband would go and make the voting choice, I guess. I don't know. Is that kind of how you would see it too, I guess? Like, it's not like they wouldn't have influence, you know. They just wouldn't be voting. I don't know.
Patriarchal than what we have currently.
Yeah, but the entailment is it also may not be. It depends on which system. You haven't exactly defined which system you would implement in order to make sure that it's patriarchal. You just said there are many we could choose from. Well, that's great, that's swell, but it doesn't actually tell me anything. So no, the outcome
that I just mentioned would have more women earning the franchise.
Well, you would have to be like, be specific. What system are you advocating for here?
If it were net taxpayers or property owners, both of those groups are overwhelmingly male. Households, well, it's one vote for household.
Oh, I see what she's
the
saying.
only one where there would be some ambiguity perhaps would be service through citizenship.
She
If you
just
look at
doesn't want to
military
make it on
service, also
gender.
overwhelmingly male.
Yeah, I agree, but is the point of this, ultimately, from your perspective, to make a better governing body, or is the point of this, ultimately, for you to advance a patriarchal structure inside of society? This is the distinction
I don't think you can divorce those two things.
Yeah, I think
to be better,
I think
it will
you
be
can.
more male dominated.
Can you just answer the question? Are you trying to advocate for a patriarchal society, or aren't you?
I'm trying to advocate for a better society that is
That's
one
not my
that goes
question.
more
That's
data-
not my question. Answer my
Oh,
question.
there it
Don't be
is.
bad faith. Do you want a patriarchal society, or don't you?
If the patriarchal is one led by men, then yes, this would be led by men. It would be better.
Yeah, so ultimately your goal is the advocation of a patriarchal society, correct?
I don't think, it sounds like he's trying to catch her on something, but he's not doing that. He's just trying to get her to think clearly about what she's saying. Because if she can say, like, he's trying to root out, what does she actually want to believe? Maybe she's kind of unclear, you know? But if Andrew can just get her to say one way or another, then it's not like he's like criticizing or judging her. He's just going to debate well, if you're going to say this, then these are the logical consequences of that decision. You know, that's all he's going to like grill her on. He's not going to like judge her morally. You know what I'm saying? Like, at least not yet. I don't know.
Correct.
Okay, if that is the ultimate goal.
And so maybe he intuitively knows she's going to say, yeah, I prefer patriarchy or whatever. Well, then that's where he can come in and says, well, then you need to change some of your your policy prescriptions, I guess, because those are going to lead you away from your goal of promoting a patriarchy overall. Like these are trajectories that will lead you away from there.
Well, then no, that is not feminism. But I wanted to make sure, as we dove into this, that that's actually what the goal is. Because
let's go back.
That advocation of a...
If that patriarchal is one led by men, then yes, this would be led by men. It would be better.
Yeah, so ultimately your goal is the advocation of a patriarchal society, correct?
Correct.
Okay, if that is the ultimate goal, then no, that is not feminism. But I wanted to make sure, as we dove into this, that that's actually what the goal is. Because what it sounded like to me is, no, I want a better society, I want a more gooder society, I want something that looks and acts like in some way that I want. That really has nothing to do with anything. I want to know specifically.
What does it mean to be a good society?
But I suppose that I don't have feminist ideals, but the reason why I talk about all of those things because I don't think it's an argument where it's men therefore better. I think that's an oversimplification. I think, if we look at all the different strengths that men versus women have, it's not just that they're men. And I think kind of just trying to oversimplify it in those ways, you're going to lose a lot of people who...
Well, I think making it overly complex actually makes us lose far more people. So just because you take
have you heard of peaceful Latinas?
They're idiots. But just because you take
but they're actually someone who agree with my position. But
that's nice. They're a bunch of liberal scumbags. They're a couple of liberal scumbags.
They agree with my position. But when it's marketed as, just repeal the 19th, like their brain shuts off.
Oh, yay, progressives agree with your position. Awesome. That's great. Swell.
Yeah, we live in a society where we must.
Did you just use the "we live in a society"?
People to our. We must.
Lol, Andrew, dude, he just goes hard,
The devil persuades you. That's how that ends up working. So what happens is by you moving off the message. Let me finish my point. Let me finish my point. Let me finish my point. Yeah, their ideology can be challenged in a debate channel. That's true. That's not me dancing with them politically and saying, oh, you happen to agree with my policy prescription, so that makes them good. That's absurd. It doesn't make them good. Dancing with a bunch of progressives like Destiny and the rest of these coomers and acting like they're on your team because they agree with certain issues is absurd.
Yeah,
these people are fucking horrible.
Destiny,
they're horrible people. They do horrible things. And for us to make these kinds of like bizarre advocations that, oh, the concept is so complex, the average Joe could just never really understand it. There's so much nuance. There's not really that much nuance. It's not really that. It's not really that complex.
People absolutely can understand it, but we have to take the time to explain it first before they do.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I do. That's what debate does. Debate helps flesh out these ideas and these ideologies so that people can understand it. But these people are not our friends. They're not our buddies. They're not our pals. They absolutely want to dismantle the society in which we live, and they're pretty awful. So no, I don't care what progressives might agree with your positions.
Yeah, but it goes to show that the positions themselves are sound, and they're sound to the point where you might even be able to implement.
It doesn't show that it's sound just because some people agree with them. That's an absurd statement.
I mean, if you agree that it's not a bad system, and or at the very least not a feminist system, I'll be clear there. And you even have like some progressives getting on board with the idea. I don't think that's something to scoff at, and I think we're being needlessly. I don't want to say condescending, but I mean a little bit there.
Well, good. We need to gatekeep more. We need to make sure that we're not letting in the most horrifying people on planet Earth so that we can advocate for a system which they will then corrupt. That's how progressive communism got power to begin with.
What are you talking about letting into?
I'm saying that what ends up happening is this. It's the curious case of Charlie Kirk and Con Inc. It's the same exact thing. What happens is you create big tent ideology around something which is hyper-specific, and then the people who you bring in begin to pollute the message. In Charlie Kirk's case, it was the LGBTQ, who he wanted to come in to add to the big tent-style messaging that he had for his brand of conservatism. The same exact thing can happen within whatever ideology you're advocating for, the more horrific and horrible people you bring in to advocate for that ideology, the more they're going to end up polluting it. That's how it works in real time. That's how politics operates. That's how lobbyists begin to gain control of messaging, and how they end up completely destroying what the message originally was.
So I think you're...
What's interesting is that this is kind of a thing going on right now, whereas Trump, you know, moves to the center more to open up that tent to more voters. A lot of, like, if you could see how, like, a lot of conservatives are might be thinking in this way, or that this is being, I think, so this interview or this debate happened 3 months ago. So literally within the last couple of days, Lauren Chen, I think, I'm not too clear, but there's some controversy around her. I think it started yesterday or today. Amanda, have you heard of this controversy around Lauren Chen, where she was like receiving money from a certain groups, I guess, to push certain kind of messages that were basically undermining Trump? So it's funny how she's on this side of that debate, but now she kind of is playing this really hard line stance maybe now. But I'm not sure. I haven't looked into it, so I don't really know what's going on, to be honest. But anyway, yeah, I kind of lost my train of thought. I wish I could make it more concise, but
You're getting to the core of something.
But I guess what I wanted to finish off with saying was that right now there's with this election coming up, there's definitely, it's definitely, you know, the quote-unquote center is really just it's like it's been thrown off kilter because Kamala Harris, stuff like that, really does have a more communistic kind of political background and policies. That's why they're not having her talk about it at all. She's already talked about it in the past, but they're not having her talk. Well, plus she can't really talk anyway. But anyway, probably better than I can though, maybe, I don't know. But anyway, she's so far left that she abandoned the people who are just moderates in the country, right? And so because it's a huge pool of voters, that's why Trump is toning down his right-leaning rhetoric, because now he needs to court a whole new you know, band of voters that are more moderate, right? And those are like but he went off for specifically the ones with RFK Jr., right? And RFK Jr. is a liberal, or on the left, right? I don't know if he's, I guess he's considered a liberal. He's definitely like old school Democrat, right? And I see that kind of like, you know, you have kind of moderate Donald Trump, slightly moderate right? And then you have RFK Jr. is kind of like moderate left, I guess. He's definitely moderate left compared to Kamala. So I'll just leave it at that. What we're voting for is not really one side or the other. It's we're voting, when you vote for Trump, you're voting for a return to normalcy of the balance of power, so that you can just have old school normal Democrats again, who aren't radicalized. You know what I'm saying? But the problem is a lot of people on the right are still thinking in the old school, oh, because Trump is moving to the center, then we're going to have to and because he's not going to be pro-life, you know, or whatever, we can't support him anymore, so we're going to call him out. We're not going to vote for him. But they don't understand that if you don't vote for him, then you're, you know, and you are actively trying to persuade people on the right not to do that, you're undermining your own overall goal, because you're, if the pendulum swings all the way to radical left like Kamala, the you know, quote unquote conservative radical right, or what do you want to call it, is not they're gonna be so out of power, so ineffectual that it's just not gonna happen. Like they're gonna shoot themselves in the foot, basically. Anyway, but I think that in the long run though, they just need, the people on the right just need to chill for a moment. Let the, you know, political system kind of reorient itself between the poles of, you know, moderate right Trump, moderate left RFK. Let that happen, and then after he's in office, then you can push your more strong right leaning agendas, if that's what the majority of people actually want again, now that they've, you know, normalization is starting to happen.
That we did try in the conservative movement. That's the issue with big tent conservatism. Like, we want LGBT people voting Republican. We want all of these votes, right? And I think we should be able to work together where we have agreements. That's true. But the problem is, and we see this even in the media, when you you're too willing to, I guess, go along to get along, you not only end up working together where you have agreement, which is just strategic in my opinion,
What
but
in the name
the
of
movement itself,
hypocrisy is this?
no changes.
Why say this when you just got done saying, oh, but there's progressives who agree with me, and now you're kind of moving out of the other side of your face and saying, oh,
Yeah, but I
but
don't
the
think-
thing
I
is,
don't
it's like, I don't think that that's necessarily a good thing. It's like, get off the fence
Hang
and
on
pick a
second.
position.
Wait. I don't think it's a bad thing if progressives also support me, but I think what's bad is where we start to say that just because you agree with this one position, you are now conservative. You're part of the new right that is inclusive. There's a big difference there. There's a very, very
What's
big
the
difference
distinction?
The distinction is, well, we're not going to, just because you agree with me on one of these issues, that doesn't mean I'm going to compromise my position on all these others.
New right, which is more like watered down, right? But really, the only reason why people on the left are moving to the right is because they don't want to move any more left. That's the only reason why it's happening. So once they move over to the big tent right, and the extremism of the left kind of maybe not dissipates, if it does dissipate, then those people that are in the big tent right are going to split off again, and that'll be the normal kind of left and right paradigm until again, because the left will always kind of move towards disintegration just because of the nature of its moral standard being a group-based rather than transcendent, whereas on the right the morals are always transcendent, so they're harder to change in the long run. But the left will always kind of go towards that extremism, and then people will come back towards the right, and then they'll go this. It'll always be that cycle, whereas on the right that happens way more slowly. Yeah, anyway.
That was Charlie Kirk's position. I disagree with the fact that you're LGBTQ, but as long as you're voting with me, everything's a-okay. No. What happens is it pollutes.
There wasn't.
What happened is they polluted that message and absolutely destroyed it. Charlie Kirk and TPUSA have had to back up on all of their messaging, everything from immigration to LGBTQ rights. Fortunately, there was a basically fatwa that was put up against them by one Mr. Can't even be named on the internet, who completely dismantled that messaging before the poison got too out of hand. But that's exactly what was going on, was an inclusion of these lunatics inside of the conservative movement, which pollute the message. That's why Donald Trump now has rainbow flags all over the place. It pollutes the message.
Yeah, I don't agree with Andrew on that. I agree that is what's happening, but I feel like during this kind of election season, if you're on the right and you don't understand the stakes, like you're such a purist that you're gonna purity spiral out, and it's not gonna help the country at all.
I'm going to put you up on stage as the spokesperson for my message. That's not something that I agree with. That's not something that I support.
Well, then why are you referencing these people like they're your buddies?
What are you talking about?
Well, have you heard of Peaceful Latinas? Says Lauren Jen. They support my message. That's essentially showcasing them as speakers for the message.
No, that's just saying that in this one regard, this is an argument that I think does have broad appeal.
I think she was only bringing that up just so that she could show that people, it has broad appeal, basically.
If we explain it correctly, or at least if I explain myself correctly.
I don't think it does. I think what ends up happening is it does not have broad appeal. Infiltrators come in and they'll begin to pollute, dilute, and destroy the message. That's what ends up happening. Conservatism does not have a unified message, and it doesn't because we don't seem to understand that conservatism is supposed to be a patriarchal structure. It's supposed to be top-down patriarchy based around Christian ethics. That is conservatism, or else what are we trying to conserve, Lauren?
I think you're right.
What are we conserving?
What is it?
Right, what is it? So then the question becomes, why are we in bed with women, especially women, female commentators, who absolutely do not agree with this? Your assaults against Pearl Davis, which led to our beef to begin with, my critiques of your video as you went after Pearl Davis, was a way for you. She is dismantling feminist ideology and is pro-patriarchy, and all you could do is criticize her for that.
She is?
That is covert feminism.
She's anti-Christian. She's
not anti-Christian.
She absolutely is. If she's telling men to, not date women in the church, if she's saying that Christianity has become...
She's telling them not to date reformed prostitutes. Do you want men to date reformed prostitutes in the church, Lauren?
No, I don't actually.
No, and neither does Pearl, because she's smart, because she understands that what's going on inside of your Protestant churches, where everything is a personal Jesus, where you have destroyed your ecclesiastical authority, where you have destroyed the natural relationship with the church, that they will let in reformed prostitutes who just got their heads dunked a week before at heresy.com, and now suddenly they're your new trad wife.
What do you mean let into the church? I don't think someone like Nala should be in any type of leadership. I mean,
all right, I'm gonna give you a little bit of context of what he's talking about. You have to understand that Andrew Wilson comes from an Orthodox Christian perspective, which so do I. When you try to become an Orthodox Christian, it takes a long time to become an Orthodox Christian. You don't just on a whim accept the Lord Jesus into your heart and go get baptized in the same night, not knowing anything about what you believe. You're just going purely off a feeling. That's more of like what happens in Protestant evangelical churches. So that's what you can see. He's critiquing that overall, and I guess most Christians in America are more Protestant like that. So Hold on, what's going on here? There we go. So yeah, so he's criticizing that. Anyway.
Aside from the fact that she is a woman, she is a porn star. So that's not something that I support. But if you actually read what Karl has said in regards to just like the idea that Christian women who go to church are no different than secular women in regard to something like divorce, that's patently
She's right.
untrue.
No,
that's
it's not. It's not untrue.
Look at the divorce statistics.
Yeah, let's look at the
Women
divorce
who go to
statistics and dive into it. So here's what is true. What is true is that self-identified Christians do get divorced at an even higher rate than secularists do.
Yeah,
what happens is if you
I've
look
heard
at
about
it's a
this.
pious scale. So people who take their religion more
yes, you're right.
seriously,
Self-identification is not it.
the less likely they are to get
Yeah.
divorced. But if you're talking about covert feminists who were literally sucking 100 penises last year on film in front of everybody, now suddenly they come into the church. That's your new trad wife. No, Pearl Davis says that's bullshit.
Oh.
And we shouldn't follow that. And that
Is this around the time when that one girl came out in support of Trump? The one, is it the one that was at the RNC? Kind of had a controversy.
That has nothing to do with the Christian ethic, and it has nothing to do with the Christian faith, and she's absolutely right. That is a dismantling of feminism. Last thing that you want is your future leaders to be bogged down with former prostitutes. That seems like a bad idea, Lauren.
The OnlyFans model.
I don't disagree. The video that I did about Nala specifically is responding to people who say that
You kissed her ass,
she's not
Lauren.
saved.
You kissed her ass. You kissed Nala's ass.
Yeah, because I think
kissed her
Oh,
ass.
Nala,
if
yeah.
she's a new person born again, then
Wait,
we have
who's-
absolutely no right to say that she has not been saved. Now, I also believe that the best indicator.
What do you mean? Why don't you have that right? She went
Is
to
the same girl I'm thinking of?
heresiechurch.com and got her head dunked. What to you is salvation?
What are you talking
the one from the
Meaning
RNC, or
that
is this?
she walked into
is this the other
a
girl?
church? The particular one that she went to is a church which is known to take in basically any type of celebrity that they can, and especially the more horrible ones. They instantly give them a baptism and then say, "Oh, you're cured and you found Jesus," and then they go on a testimonial tour. Why should we
I
take
don't
that as being
know, bro.
authentic? If you shall know them by their fruits, that means you shall know them by their works. And in this particular case, where's Nala giving compensation back to of the hundreds and thousands of men who she did horrific damage to? Where's your demand for that, Lauren?
I don't have a problem with
see.
that. The video that I did, though, was discussing whether Nala's salvation is real. And I think ultimately I did say that we shall know them by their works. This is something that we will have to wait and see.
Wait and see,
I don't
yeah.
disagree as a concept that Nala is, my point, though, with Nala is that it is possible for her to be saved. There's no one who is beyond the redemption of Christ.
I didn't say that there
doesn't
was.
change the fact
Yeah,
that, sorry?
I didn't say that there was, but let me ask you a question.
Well, there you go.
Assuming
And
for a
thank you,
second,
but
It takes a
I'm
moment,
clarifying
though,
my
to
position
kind of-
here because you're saying a lot of things that I don't agree with. So I think you may not be sure as to what my actual beliefs are. I think a Christian man has every right to say that you were doing this yesterday. I don't want to marry you. I think there's no end to the standards that Christian men should have for other Christians. So I think a Christian man should be able to say no to dating a Christian woman if it's for something as simple as you are too much of a careerist.
Yeah, but-
let alone you used to be a porn
Yeah,
star.
but can is different than should. What Pearl's saying
Should
is
absolutely
you
as
shouldn't.
well.
You shouldn't do it. And I agree.
Yes,
You shouldn't
yes,
do it. Not only that, let me ask you this, Lauren. Let's assume for a second that a person found Christ and they were convicted of doing some kid diddling. Would you let them watch your kid because they were saved?
Oh, hell no.
No, yeah,
No.
no, 100%.
Yeah, so
And
then what happens is...
But see, there's a difference between someone repenting, right, and being in the church and kind of getting the therapy, spiritual therapy from the church. There's another thing when you're not, like, say, a reformed alcoholic. You're just not going to put alcohol out, for them. Even though they're in the church, it doesn't mean they're, like, suddenly miraculously not tempted by that stuff anymore. It's still going to be a struggle. So yeah, you ought, I guess from a Christian perspective, you ought not to marry people like that until they've kind of been able to deal with their former sin life. But it's hard to deal with your sins, so I don't know. But it doesn't mean that you can't be friendly with them either, like you still got to be friendly, and you still got to pray for them, and you still got to wish the best for them, but you just know within limits.
Inside these churches, what's going on is these women are using Christianity as a cloak and a shield. But half the time they're doing pornography with a crucifix on their chest. Half the time they have quotes, biblical quotes on their butt cheeks. I've met these women time and time again through the whatever podcast and these other places. They're utilizing the church specifically as a shield and a cloak. When we get into the red pill prescriptions themselves, if we're going opposing to the scriptures, red pillars are making it very clear that the church has become corrupted with feminism, and it has.
All right, well, that's all well and good, but that's not what my position on Nala was. And I think I've been...
It was.
pretty
You
clear
kissed her
that-
ass that whole video. I watched the whole video. You were busy
But
kissing her ass,
but
telling her how great she
who I-
was. And she's not great. She's a horrible, awful person who did horrible damage to people and has done nothing to give compensation to any of them.
I agree that she, like, I have seen people say, like, well, she should give away the money then if she's sincere. I don't disagree with that either. I will say that, we have people like Andrew Tate, who I think should also do more to compensate for the fact that he built his empire off of, running a cam service. But when it comes to the question of should a Christian man date Nala, should we accept her as a leader in the church, I think that's a no. It's a different question than is it possible for someone like Nala to have been saved?
Yeah, on the salvific claim, we would make the claim that the Orthodox would never make a claim that you're not saved. But that's really beside the point. What ends up happening? No, it is, and I'll tell you how. Because all of the tangling that you guys end up doing with these red pillars is just to say, who are you to judge? She's been saved. No, they should judge. Absolutely, they should judge. And more Christians should be very much more righteously judgmental against these horrific human beings who suddenly claim they found Jesus yesterday, go inside of the patriarchal churches and begin the dismantling of them from the inside out. No, we should judge them. Yes, we should. Right, Lauren? We should judge these women, right?
Yes, absolutely. Like pornography is wrong, OnlyFans is wrong. But the question is, like, when someone turns away from that, do we accept them in the church as recognizing that they are sinners and that they are not?
The reason that we have a catechesis inside of Orthodoxy that takes many years is to make sure that you can weed out people who aren't ready for the faith. Theosis and Christianity is a lifelong process. The path is narrow. It's very easy to fall off of that path. There's no reason for us. In fact, I would say the opposite is true. That your relationship with Jesus Christ should be kept as private as possible, and all of your charitable contributions, donations, things like that should also be kept confidential. What happens instead is these people go on these massive publicity tours, oftentimes heralded by people such as yourself, who make these videos, these long-form videos, absolutely kissing their ass, when you should be completely dismantling and wrecking them. They're horrific for the patriarchal structures which you seem to want to advocate for. Why should we kiss their asses? So there's Pearl Davis. She's not kissing their ass. She says, no, broad, get out of here. You're completely destroying the fabric of society, and you're using this as a cloak. We can clearly see you're using it as a cloak, and you people lambaste her for saying that, but it's true.
So when it comes to someone like Nala, do you think, you just said you should be keeping your relationship with Christ private. Do you think that someone who is newly saved should be, is it a bad thing if they share their testimony?
Absolutely. Running around the country trying to share your testimony of your salvation.
Yeah, they don't need to be rushing off talking about
defeater to the position of the humbleness of
everything that they don't even know anything about yet.
Christianity with humility. That is the entire point of it. You're not supposed to
even
pray
Paul himself.
You're not supposed to say, look at me. You're not supposed to tell people on Twitter, oh, I'll pray for you. That's just saying fuck you. That's all that's saying. I'll pray for you is just saying fuck you. That's all it is. Okay? That's bullshit. That's not Christianity. That's something totally different than what Christianity is. And all I see is people on your side completely going after these red pill podcasters and people like this. And yes, it's true. Many of them are degenerates. But that doesn't make them less right about what's going on in the fact that the Christ pillars offer no prescriptions to marriage at all. They offer nothing.
I don't think that's fair to say they offer no prescription for marriage at all.
Well then, okay, Lauren, why should a secularist man get married? Give me one good reason.
Well, I think that having children is a very good and very important one.
Why should a secular man want children? Why would you want a secular man to have children?
Well, because I mean, aside from the general decline.
Dude, that's a hardcore position he's taking, dude.
You want secularists to continue to reproduce? That seems like a good idea to you?
Yes, I think even if you are not Christian, you probably should have kids. We're at a point.
Is their marriage valid if it's a secularist marriage to begin with, Lauren?
Valid? No.
No. So then you're basically telling them to sin, right, Lauren? Aren't you telling them to sin by telling them to get a non-Christian marriage and have children? Aren't you telling them to sin, Lauren?
Dude, she's being thrown back on herself right now. She's actually considering that.
Okay, this is, yeah.
What's that? Yes? Yes? You're telling, so you're telling people to sin, Lauren? That's your prescription? The whole time you've been beating the holy hell out of the red pillars? And the entire time they've been right? And you've been telling them to sin, Lauren?
Yo.
So hang on, let's
answer the question, Lauren.
I'm happy to admit where I'm wrong. This is not a problem for me. Let's talk about this. So, do you believe that it is sinful for a man to get married and have kids if he is not a Christian?
That's not marriage. Marriage is a sacrament between a man and a woman. That's what.
Holy dude. Because remember I was talking about the video I did the other day. Because in the video that I made the other day, I was still kind of wondering where, or last week, I was still wondering where I would have stand when it comes to religion. I was just saying, marriage, sex, procreation. But even if it is between a male and a female who procreate, is it still marriage? What do I as an Orthodox Christian kind of think about that? Holy. If I see it as true marriage is only a sacrament, then do I really think that anything else? I have to, I'm getting grilled myself right here. Holy shit.
Within the purview of the Christian ethic, you have been running around with the rest of the tradcons telling men to sin, Lauren. Why are you doing that? Why? Now answer my question. Why are you doing that, Lauren?
Well, I think you're illustrating something, and again, you're getting upset with me here, but I'm happy to hear if I'm wrong, and we can talk about this. But I mean, it is true, and I have argued for like a civil marriage, even within, if you're going to have kids as a man, even if you're not religious, cohabitation does not have the same outcomes as a civil marriage. That is true. There's still a difference between.
And it's all sinful, right, Lauren?
Still.
Yes, I think that.
But the thing is even if it is from a Christian perspective, at least it's better than not. You know what I'm saying? Like, at least it's better not. But maybe that's what Lauren's gonna say next. Is like, at least it's better than them not being you know, married, and then so like so you could see it as a hierarchy of like it would be the best if they were like Christian married, right? But then non-Christian, well, actually, hold on, take Christianity out. Married is better than just cohabitating, and when you have children, and cohabitating is better than just having one person at home and the other one lives in another house. You know what I'm saying? Like I kind of see a hierarchy there. But I would guess that overall, Andrew is saying that if it's still without Christianity, it doesn't matter. It's still, from the Christian perspective, it's still sin no matter what. And I guess I can't argue with that. Like, yeah, I don't know, but I don't feel like I'm. But so I guess what Andrew's saying is we should judge them so that they feel a certain amount of shame or something like that, so that they could kind of be thrown back on themselves and self-analyze and maybe get their butt into gear about making better choices from here on out. But dude, that's still a hardcore stance to take, you know?
Why are you advocating that people sin? Answer my question.
I guess I would. That's true. That's true. I guess my argument should be first for people to.
And now you know why I think you're a feminist, Lauren. Now you know.
Because of the marriage thing?
Because you go out of your way. You haven't thought these positions. The problem is when you lift these positions from people and you haven't actually thought about them.
You haven't thought them out.
Mercy of them. The reason I engage so much with these
That's
red
what
pillars,
it
the reason
is.
I engage so much with them, so that I actually understand their positions.
See,
the
I haven't
reason
even
that
thought
I
it
engage so
out.
much with the Christian sphere is so that I can really understand the positions. You don't have a good understanding or grasp on these positions, and it's covert feminism. What ends up happening, ultimately, because you haven't thought these through, is you end up advocating for things like this, which are literally sinful, and you don't even know you're advocating for them.
This.
You're right on, and I will see that. But I think when it comes to like the voting thing, I don't think it's fair to say that I haven't considered it. I think this is a good illustration of you're right here when it comes to advocating for secular marriage. I think I can simultaneously acknowledge that a secular marriage still has better outcomes for those involved and any children involved than something like cohabitation.
No, you're a Christian. You're not a consequentialist. You're not looking for outcomes. You're not looking for outcomes.
Let me finish. But then also recognize that by my own standard, that is not a marriage and is therefore sinful.
So that would be a contradiction, a performative contradiction.
I don't think it would be performative. I think it would be but it's not just for performance though. If you're actually like
yes, it is for performance. The performance of X action leads to contradictions. It's a performative contradiction in worldview.
I think she's misunderstanding performance. She thinks like, oh, I'm just putting on a performance, rather than the performance of a particular
literally it is a
action.
Of my worldview, but I wouldn't say it's performative. I'm not doing it for an audience.
But what do I know? I don't know.
We won't make the semantic too detailed, but it's a contradiction. Fine, as long as you can see that it's contradictory inside of your worldview. But let's go even deeper. Let's go even deeper into it, so that you understand even more. Okay, where these guys are coming from.
This is wild.
Why in the world?
Sorry. Could we just stop for a second because we dove into what feminism is. I want to dive into what red pill is. First though, I do need to get these chats up. Okay, Arceon says, I think feminism was designed as anti-patriarchy, but in practice, those who believe in it actually do care about egalitarianism. At least some do. The McClone Code says gender exists only if you think of it as the typical expected expressions, physical and behavioral, of each sex, and there's only two one-to-one math. The sarcastic saint says, Laura, please forgive Andrew because he hasn't been laid and the whatever podcasts get to him. He just needs to take a cold shower and okay. Well,
I hate when people say that. They don't even know anything about him.
It's people. Arceon says, Christ forgave and spent time with a prostitute. Lauren, if you can debate Rollo Tomasi next live, I will not need anything for Christmas. Okay, thank you guys. I think we're all cut up there. Okay, so let's talk about what the red pill is and what I view as the problems with red pill. So I view the red pill as kind of an offshoot or something that developed from maybe earlier MGTOW or manosphere types.
Yeah.
So a lot of the complaints center around inequality before the courts and family law specifically benefiting women. I don't disagree there, but you mentioned yourself that they can be degenerate. And when I look at someone like the Fresh and Fit guys who do talk about, like, they encourage promiscuity among men, that's not something that I support.
Yeah, but again, this is a detailed problem with your worldview. So let me dive right into this as well. These are secularists, and these secularist men are trying to help secularist men. The Christians are supposed to be coming in with solutions to these issues, and what happens is, like you, they have actual contradictions inside of the worldview, so these guys don't want to listen to them. What you guys say is, oh, hey, just roll the dice.
Yeah, people can sense that.
And maybe you won't marry.
Dude, that's actually a very good point. Like, if you come in kind of trying to be double-minded, trying to appeal to their worldview while also trying to appeal to yours at the same time, that is just not convincing. I think people would rather you just straight up, even though you have an opposing worldview to me, at least be consistent with your worldview. Show me how, show me what's so much better, about your worldview than mine, by demonstrating its consistency, right? And I think that's why Andrew is gaining so much influence, because he's just like, boom, like he's the most like consistent, logically argued person, like for his positions and stuff like that. People do not respect you when they can feel that you're just trying to placate them, and I feel like I can be guilty of that, where I just kind of placate people sometimes. But but then I find out I'm doing it. So I do it and I don't even know that I'm doing it. And then when I find out, I'm like, oh, I get mad. And then people are like, dude, you're bipolar. I'm just kidding.
One of these horrible women. What is the actual Christian prescription?
I'm just kidding. They don't say that.
What is the actual Christian prescription to hypergamy in society from women and mate selection? What is the actual solution that you have from a Christian ethic that you can give these guys that's better than what Fresh and Fit gives them?
I don't have a problem with hypergamy.
Yeah, that's not my question. My question is, if you believe in monogamy because you're a Christian, but women are not acting in a monogamous way inside society, which they're not, what is the prescription that you're going to give to men? There's not enough women to go around who are virtuous for the virtuous men. What prescription are you going to give to the secularists? Do you even have one? You don't have one, right?
Well, no, I think the solution is to do things like change family court, like absolutely change the law surrounding divorce. I think a lot of men, even if they are secularists, would feel better going into a marriage if they didn't think that there was such a good chance that they absolutely lose everything in the divorce. And I also think that you say that there's not enough good women to go around. I think that's true. And in my video talking about the women and the right, I believe a lot of this stems from a lack of leadership from men in the church. I think there should be a lot of churches, they prioritize gynocentrism, female sensibilities over actual male leadership. And I think that's a problem. And I think if we were to let the
this
church
doesn't answer the
force in
question.
that way,
What is the actual prescription that you can give to men right now who are facing down the barrel of marriage, right? Where you have a state contract in a secular way. These guys are speaking to secular men. You're the Christian who's trying to convert them. What's the actual prescription that you're going to give these guys when it comes to marriage? What is it, Lauren?
Well, I think you pointed out that any prescription when it comes to marriage, if you're talking to a secularist, should be to follow Christ, because anything less than that is not a marriage.
Oh, and they go, yeah, but I don't want to do that. What I'm going to do instead is I'm just going to, have sex with a bunch of hot chicks and then never tie myself down with the state. That makes a lot more sense. Can you actually tell me why that's illogical from a secular progressive state? I can't actually think of how it's illogical for a man who's a secularist to say, I don't want to get married in the current sphere. The women are not virtuous, and instead I'm just going to go out and I'm going to have tons and tons of sex, and that's it. Why is that actually problematic from that stance? Doesn't it seem like it's good advice for Christian?
If your problem with women is that too many of them have slept around, etc., then I don't think you need to be a Christian to recognize that by continuing to sleep with these women, you are exacerbating the problem. Unless you're
that would be contrary to hypergamy. Hypergamy is actually stating the opposite within the red pill thought process. They're actually stating the opposite, that most men cannot sleep with X amount of women. Most of them cannot. Most women can sleep with whatever guy they want. Most guys cannot sleep with whatever woman they want. So it would actually be the opposite within their sphere. So they're telling men, actually, you're probably not going to be able to do this thing. However, here's self-improvement you can do, which would improve your chances of mate selection and things like this. From a secular standpoint, how in the world could they possibly be wrong? What are you offering? This is the question. What are you offering from the Christian church, from the Christian perspective, to combat these ideas, Lauren? What are you actually showing them?
Yeah.
Well, once more, you talk about the fact that, well, they're offering self-improvement so that men can improve their chances for mate selection. I will maintain, if you are a man who believes that promiscuity amongst women, sleeping with men who they are not married to, is a problem, you cannot engage in that same behavior while complaining about the problem. You are exacerbating the problem.
Yeah, but most of those men are not exacerbating the problem. This is not a male problem. This would be a woman problem when it comes to hypergamy. If most of the women are sleeping with a select few men, how's that a man's issue? That would be a woman's issue. And again, you still have not answered the question from the church, from the Christian perspective. What would you do to solve that?
Well, I think what we need to do to solve that is when it comes to things like, sex outside of wedlock, as a church, we have like the Christian church has failed in enforcing those moral standards. And it's true, if you think about like church singles groups or even just general services, how many of them talk about something like sex within marriage specifically? It's not a popular concept. It's not something that I think a lot of church leaders think as a winning topic, but because of that, even amongst people within the church, like that's a problem.
Okay, well, here, I'll give you the solution, because that's a non-solution. That's just literally prattle. You didn't say anything. Here's the actual solution.
I'll let you continue, but what I've said there is that the church should absolutely be pushing to enforce those moral standards, preaching those moral standards.
Which church?
Christian churches, like the church is the body of Christ.
Yeah, but the problem is that within Protestantism, you have so many different denominations, so many of them which embrace feminism, LGBTQ, this type of thing. They have no unified message. Only the traditional churches, Orthodoxy and Catholicism, do. That's it. That's why the Muslims have become so popular where they're at when they're pushing traditional values. That's the reason why. So I can tell you how you can actually make a lifeline to these guys if you actually want to bring them over to your side. If you really want to understand how you can fix this problem.
I'm interested in what he has to say.
With a move to patriarchy. That's the thing Red Pillars will embrace, a move to patriarchal systems. That's what Christianity can offer to the secularists, which bring them over to our side, a move to patriarchy. Because absent patriarchy, what has happened?
Churches need to embrace that.
Yep, they have no ecclesiastical authority. Because there's no ecclesiology, they can't do it. Protestant churches can't do it. They don't have the necessary ecclesiology in order to move into a patriarchal system. They don't have any reference for marriage. They don't have any laws or bylaws regarding marriage. They have no laws or bylaws regarding anything. Whereas the traditional churches do have that ecclesiastical authority. That's why the traditional Abrahamic religions do so well, and why Protestantism does not do so well. And so hang on, I'm almost done. When you're making the advocation for this, the reason that you have a pro-feminist stance without even knowing it is because if you want to solve the problem on the red pill side and the Christ pill side, the one unifier that you have is a patriarchy, patriarchal systems. They will agree with that, and you can move them out of that. But just telling them, oh no, just be monogamous, that doesn't do anything for them, because who are the women left? They get the leftovers to be monogamous with. That's what they get.
All right, well, when it comes to things like divorce within the Catholic Church, at least if we're going with nominal Catholics, it is still high, unfortunately.
Depends on the country. That's one.
Yeah,
and there's influencers which happen inside of Western nations, especially due to feminism. In Orthodoxy, the rates are very, very, very low. Also, Orthodoxy offers the ecclesiastical authority and the requisite to get married outside of the
Orthodox.
state. It's not a requirement because these are sacraments. These are messages which you can give to actual red pillars to move them over to Christ. What you can't tell them to do, though, is, hey, take the big risk and the big gamble because Jesus would really like it if you did. That's insane messaging.
That's not my position, by the way, to take the risk and the gamble, to just roll the dice. I absolutely don't think that's a good idea for men to do. And I think that there are definitely things that you can do that would reduce your likelihood of getting divorced. I don't think you should just roll the dice. Absolutely not.
Well, then what is your prescription other than a move to patriarchy?
I don't think a move to patriarchy is not part of that answer. Again, I said that even in regard to the church. But I also think that there are certain mate selections that you can do that do have a statistical likelihood at reducing your chances of divorce. Right? Socioeconomic status of married couples has an outcome. It affects your likeliness of divorce.
Yeah, but it also affects the outcome of you having children because you have them later in life because of family planning. And so what ends up happening is it's the poor and the downtrodden and those who reject materialism who are going to inherit the earth because they're the only ones who are breeding. It's actually bad advice to tell people to wait until later in life to get married because you're going to destroy the chance of them having more children.
I'm not telling people to wait later in life to get married, but I think there's sometimes the willingness to believe that there is one likelihood of divorce and that it's a roll of the dice no matter what the circumstances are, which is patently not true. And there's a big differential even if you look at between different races of the likelihood of divorce. So the black divorce rate
that's because different races embrace different types of ecclesiastical authority inside of their churches. Namely, some of them have none. And that's why when the church effectively had some sort of body to it inside of black communities, you did not see these divorce rates nearly as high because they had a more traditional foundation for what it was that they were going for. That's all destroyed. But when you're talking about the entailment of what you just said, though, of, hey, your likelihood for divorce drastically is going to reduce if you have, these different socioeconomic statuses, an entailment of that is going to be that they wait till later to get married. That, in turn, is going to cause us to have less children, which exacerbates the birth rate crisis. These, again, not a great position.
Well, the thing is, when people look at the likelihood of divorce dropping, we're basically talking about IQ here, and bell curve talks about this. Your likelihood of getting divorced is greatly higher if your IQ is lower, and socioeconomic status is kind of like it represents that. And so, if you are a man, absolutely trying to find a woman who is not low IQ, therefore has better impulse control, it is going to reduce your likelihood of getting a divorce. Now, does that simultaneously mean that you have to wait until you're 30 to get married and maybe 35 to have kids? No, I think those are two different things.
The high IQ people are not having children.
Yeah, which is a problem, and I want them to have children.
Yeah, but if you want them to have children, then you have to embrace patriarchy because we want the smart mothers to stay at home and raise their children. We don't want them in the workforce literally frying their brains on behalf of their boss. We want the really high IQ women. We want the really high IQ women at home raising children to make the next generation of high IQ children. Otherwise, they're wasted. They're wasted in the market.
That's an interesting point.
Move to patriarchy is the only answer to this. That's the only way that this can actually be done in a structured way. You can't incentivize them with money. There's no way to incentivize people with money to have children. The poorest among us are the ones who have the children now. So financial incentives are not going to work for this.
I've long said the idea that the reason why women aren't having children is because of cost is ridiculous. And it's not just the poor in this country who have more children than the rich, but also if we look at a global scale, the places where there's the least economic development, they tend to have the most. It is absolutely a choice that people are making. Now, does that simultaneously mean that I don't think concerns over affordability are, we shouldn't talk about them? No, but I don't think that is the core issue of why
that's a materialist position. It's a materialist position. You having a family should not have anything to do with materialism. It should have to do with the relationship and the sacrament between yourself and Jesus Christ and the submission of your wife to your patriarchal authority and your ability to raise children, even in meager settings. Some of the best people come out of the worst poverty situations. It's not a bar for having a family. The messaging that can come from Christianity only can cross this threshold and Rubicon with the red pill if we have an embrace of patriarchy. That's it. It's the only way. I still haven't actually heard any descriptors of the red pill that you disagree with. What are they?
Oh, I told you. It's the push for the promiscuity, because we also have an overlap with what seems to be the pickup artist mentality, where we have people like going on sugar baby sites, right, and sleeping with all of these women.
Yeah, the push towards promiscuity is something which I push back on more than most, but that's not red pill. Just because you're a pickup artist, think of the red pill as a data packet. Inside of the data packet is a ton of information. You can utilize it how you see fit. Can you utilize it for the purposes of nefarious manipulation? Yes. Can you also utilize it for the purposes of help building men up and men's advocacy? Yes. You can't lay at the feet of the red pill the fact that some pickup artists and some people push towards promiscuity. That's not a red pill ideology. Red pill is simply information. That's it. It's descriptive truths which are given out into the ethos, and you can do what you want with those descriptive truths. I've not actually ever heard, and I've been on Fresh and Fit, and I have tangled with Myron on this. Then he has told me to my face, yes, it's degenerate behavior. Yes, promiscuity is bad. Yes, promiscuity should be rejected if we had a moral society. Andrew, what are Christians going to do to reach out in order to make sure we have a moral society again? In this case, when I ask you, right, you are telling the degens to get married, which is insane, right?
That's not my prescription to having more moral society, is to just get married. That's absolutely not it.
It was it. I caught you in a contradiction on it already. That you're advocating as bad a sin as they are. What is the distinction between them saying, go have sex unmarried with a bunch of people, and you saying, no, get married secularly, absent a sacrament? You're both advocating for the same exact thing, Warren.
It's not the same exact thing. Even if we just look at the consequentialist.
I don't
Again,
know.
I think you're right actually.
You're not a
in regards to
consequentialist.
secular
You're a
marriage.
Christian.
But if we look at the outcomes, you can't say that the outcome is the same where you're sleeping with one person for the rest of your life versus you're sleeping with all these other people. That's actually not the same.
But wait. But it's still degeneracy on both sides. If they're getting married absent a sacrament, right? They're still degenerates. And if they're promiscuous, they're still degenerates. You're both advocating for degeneracy. You're both just doing it in different ways. And that's why guys like me exist to push back on these ideologies, because it's nuts. It's actually crazy.
Well, I think again, I will say you're right about the civil marriage thing, and I will thank you for elucidating that for me. That's totally fine. But I think even if we look at purely from a secular standpoint, with the acknowledgement that a civil marriage is not a sacramental marriage, and therefore is sinful. If we look at the outcomes of things like promiscuity involving multiple partners, then we have children being born out of wedlock.
You still have them being born out of wedlock. Your prescription also would have children being born out of wedlock.
Yeah, but to multiple baby mamas and things like that, which is objectively worse.
Okay, so now you're consequentialist again. Now you're consequentialist
hang on.
again.
And if we look at the outcomes, like,
I guess maybe like Lauren just kind of argues from the position of like, I'm not going to be able to convince them to be Christian, so I can at least convince them to be morally Christian, even though if they're not like devotionally Christian, at least their morals are somewhat in line with Christianity. I don't know. I think she's just trying to make do with what she has. But I don't know. Is that viable of an option? Andrew's obviously pushing back at that and saying no, it's probably not. Or well, he's not saying probably. He's saying it isn't. So I'm just wondering, like,
poverty.
I mean, it's the only option. We just have to straight up tell people be Orthodox or what?
I think like abuse, there is a difference between a secular married couple versus just sleeping with a bunch of women.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, no,
just to get this right,
he already said patriarchy.
You're advocating for degeneracy light. Got it. Like, does that? I don't know how that makes it better that you advocate for degeneracy light
I'm not
instead of
I'm not
concept of degeneracy.
for that marriage in the first place, but I can still recognize that the outcomes are different, and one is measurably worse than the other.
Yeah, but the outcomes are not a consequentialist. Christians don't follow consequentialism. While it's true we can look at outcomes, you're supposed to be following virtues and the teachings of Jesus Christ, not of what the consequences of your higher duties are. If you were a consequentialist and a Christian, that would be absent the Christian ethic and the Christian ethos, period. And it doesn't even follow with the logos. None of this follows, Lauren. None of it follows.
But so you're saying that these red pill men are secular, therefore we have to speak to them in terms of a secular language, what the pros and the cons are. There is still a secular argument to be made for why you should not be sleeping with a bunch of women, like one-night stands and pickup artist style. There's still a secular argument to make for society why that is worse.
You can make that secular argument, but here's the thing. It's not enough to destroy their worldview if you can't offer them one that's better. And what they hear is hypocrisy. And what they hear is nonsense. What they hear is you saying, hey, the best thing that you can do is get married in spite of the fact that my values say that you're not even really married.
Oh, so he's saying you don't necessarily have to convince them religiously. If you can just convince them based on a patriarchy system, that's the logical step to return to before you then try to tell them, oh, now you need to be Christian in that patriarchal sense. So he's, in a certain sense, maybe he is still being a consequentialist, but he's just, maybe I'm using that very loosely. I don't really know what that means, but I'm just saying convenient. I'm thinking about it as just you're trying to get them to be as close. I'm like, what is that noise? It's this music in the background. Damn it, now I'm all thrown off. Anyway, I forgot what I was trying to say.
That these are insane positions which are put together in order to attack the red pill who's just trying to give descriptive truths. I'm not saying that their prescriptions are great. That's where you get into some of the pickup artist stuff. Most of them don't make prescriptions, though. Rollo calls it a praxeology. It's not, but he calls it a praxeology. These different people have different names for it, but they're just trying to give descriptive claims for how the world actually works. And all I see is you beating the hell out of them and kissing the ass of former prostitutes like Nala and kissing the ass of all of these women and saying, how dare you, Pearl Davis, how dare you, Andrew Wilson, say that you think that, oh, I don't know, maybe this chick who had sex with hundreds of men on film has done absolutely nothing to show the fruits or in any way really repent or show any remorse for this. How dare you not kiss her ass? Yeah, that's a losing message. It's a losing message.
I'm not saying that anyone needs to kiss Nala's ass. I'm just saying that as Christians, we cannot make a judgment as to whether or not she has been saved, and it is possible that she has been saved. That's my position on Nala.
That wasn't just your position. Your position in your video was also to attack people like Pearl Davis, who is the only one out of you sea of Harpies, that's my words, okay, who wasn't kissing this woman's ass. She was the only one who actually didn't get on her knees and kiss this prostitute's ass because she got dunked at heresychurch.com. The only one.
So it sounds like when you say that she just got dunked at heresychurch.com, you don't believe that Nala has been saved? Do you believe it's possible that she has been?
Of course, I would not make a claim to the salvation, but what I would say is I would definitely not be attacking creators like Pearl Davis, who are pointing out that, hey, you Christians should not be running to embrace this. You Christians should not be running to say that, hey, this is necessarily even a good thing that she's doing the testimony roadshow, and look how saved I am. That is the opposition of the Christian ethic. She was the only one in a whole sea of you women who came after her, who stood her ground and said no. That's respectable.
Said that Jesus isn't going to save these hoes. I think Jesus can save some of them. I think he will save some
Not
of them.
save them
Now,
from the
does that say
consequence
that
of their
he's saying-
actions. That's what she means by that. Not that they can't find salvation through Jesus Christ, but that Jesus isn't going to save them from the consequences of their actions. They're not. You can't use Christianity.
You mean in a world like, because obviously if Jesus saves them, it is from the consequences of their actions, their sinfulness on a spiritual level. But you
I'm
mean
talking about
like,
in the world,
terms of
yes.
dating.
Yeah, in the
yeah,
world.
no, I agree.
That's her point.
That's not something I disagree with. Like the idea, and I've said this online. I've said this multiple times. Nala, she's
What
not
she means is, I'll just frame it the best way I can. Jesus can save these hoes' soul, okay? But men are not going to be able to save these hoes in the world. And women are not going to be able to save these hoes in the world. And it sure would be nice if some of them actually faced the consequences for their actions were held to account without a what about the Mendo argument from commentators like you, Lauren.
What do you mean?
Yeah, I need to get some water, dude. But this is a hard pill to swallow right now. Oh, jeez, I didn't twist it up.
I mean, what about the Mendo?
Because what about the Mendo? Every time that we get into these discussions, and even in this discussion / debate that we're having right now, almost every single time we bring up the female promiscuity issue, you bring it right back to men. You call the men the homemakers. You call the men
Hey,
the people who are
Deparpon, how are you, man?
Red pillars are exacerbating the same issue they rage against. The thing is interesting here is when you're talking about hypergamy, that would actually be in opposition to your point. That's point one.
Watching
And then
a
point two
controversial
is that
kind
inside
of
these red pill spaces, most of them are feminists, and most of the debates I do with these red pillars, I prove that they're feminists because they embrace the ethic of destroying patriarchy for the purpose of degeneracy. But it's not a men's problem here. This is a woman's problem.
Get your studying done.
I very much, I disagree that I don't think that the problem is also amongst women and the women's promiscuity. I've done who knows how many videos at this point talking about promiscuity specifically amongst women, including women who do OnlyFans. I very much believe that this is, I mean, women are the gatekeepers of sex historically. So
that's a red pill talking point.
Yeah, it's a correct talking point.
All of the descriptors are mostly correct. I still haven't actually heard what you've done is conflated red pill with pickup artists. I haven't actually heard a single criticism of the red pill.
So you seem to, when we talk about even like feminist or red pill, you're like, this is specifically what the, like, I guess what the most basic belief structure that each one of them holds. Therefore, anything absent that, that's not really feminism. That's not really red pill.
No, I'm not giving you a no true Scotsman fallacy. I can explain.
Sorry?
That's you're trying to move into a no true Scotsman fallacy, and that's not what I'm saying.
No, that's not what I'm doing. Let me finish.
Okay.
So I'm taking the position of this is what the movements exist as. Like the feminist movement, this is what the feminist movement represents. These are what feminists argue for. This is what the red pill movement represents. These are what, and again, like I specifically will talk about people like Karl Davis because I will fully acknowledge that I don't follow people like Rollo Tomasi, or I'm sure there's other ones who are part of it that I don't follow. Like this is what red pill as a movement has brought.
What has it brought?
Well, I think if we're talking about the red pill movement, there's absolutely the idea that male promiscuity should be excused or is not as bad as female promiscuity.
And what is your evidence for this?
This is something, well, I'm talking specifically about people like Karl
Oh,
Davis,
for your
like
novel,
Myron,
or for your story.
Or Myron say this. Here's what they say. They give a descriptor. This is the problem, right? You don't know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
I did that earlier
The
today.
descriptor, I'm going to tell you the descriptor.
For my novel.
It's not, and here's why. The descriptor here is true. Here's the descriptor. The descriptor is that promiscuity in society is not punished by women towards men because of hypergamy. However, it is punished by men towards women, meaning the value set due to our ontology, which is different, right? Women seem to not be as upset by male promiscuity as men get by female promiscuity. This is objectively true. We have all of the data you could possibly imagine proving
Wait,
that
what
this
was
is
that?
true. Women seem to not care so much. Now, this could have something to do with the penetrative act, because if you look at homosexuality, for instance, both sides seem to be fairly, they have a discussed reaction to this. It could be due to the penetrative nature. I'm not exactly sure why this exists as a descriptive truth, but it is descriptively true. That is their point. Their point is not whether or not this behavior is good for men. Most red pillars say that promiscuity for men is not a good thing, in fact. But that doesn't mean that the descriptive truth that is viewed differently between the sexes isn't true, because it is. It most definitely is.
But so here's so you come along and say, Karl.
Wait, so did they say promiscuity, like men look down upon promiscuity in women more than women look down upon it in man? Is that what they said?
actually means XYZ. Let me explain it. This is not what Pearl is saying when she is online, when she is tweeting out. This is a very different thing, and this is where I think Pearl shoots herself in the foot a lot, because I don't know if she's engagement farming to try to like say things in the most provocative way possible, but she does not say that men and women, or she does not just say that, oh, cheating is viewed differently from men as it is women, therefore whatever. She will actually say that it's not a big deal if a man cheats. Like,
no,
just
but what happens, and Pearl also clarified this, and I even have the tweets of her clarifying this. She's clarified it a million times. But what happens is, because you have a character limitation, what people do, and it's a leftist game, they take what is said out of context, they portray that as a position of Pearl Davis, even though she's clarified it 100 times. That promiscuity for men is not good. However, it is more understandable in society because they're not punished for it by women the same way women are punished for it by men. This operates under incentives. That's showing you an incentive difference.
But I think she's also, I mean, she's leading her audience down the wrong path, because you'll have men like Matt Walsh and Michael Knowles who argue for, marriage very strongly.
Yeah, that's right. They argue for secular marriage and have the same contradiction you do, which is why the red pill doesn't take them seriously.
Can I finish?
Yeah,
so
go ahead.
she'll look at someone like Matt Walsh and Michael Knowles and say, like, well, your marriages aren't representative because you are the X%, so you can't translate your experience universally toward men. It's like, okay, but simultaneously she will just say it's not as big of a deal for men to cheat. If you look at a lot of women in their relationships with their husbands, with their boyfriends, they will absolutely think that
That's
is a big deal
thing
if they
to
cheat. Now,
say.
if you're saying like, oh, well, the top 1%, their wives who might be trophy wives are not going to think it as big of a deal. They're going to turn the other cheek. Well, Pearl is doing the exact same thing that she accuses Matt Walsh and Michael Knowles of doing, trying to apply like the standards for the top 0.1% to the average male in the dating pool or in the marriage pool.
This is insane. This is insane framing because you want to point out hypocrisy where it doesn't exist. Matt Walsh and the TradCons suffer from the exact same contradiction that you do, which is to give a green light to secularists to get married, which is degenerate in and of its own nature, is a degenerate non-sacramental act. It is not a Catholic act. It is not an Orthodox act for secularists to engage in this kind of degeneracy in society and then wrap it up in a bow with a state contract. That's insanity. Not only that, but none of these guys actually are willing to debate the issues with any of these people. Rollo Tomasi, Myron, all of these different red pillars have done a call out to debate with the Daily Wire people on this particular issue because they're because they're strawman so heavily, and none of them will do it. Not one. So that tells me, right, at least you could, like, I have some respect for you at least, Lauren, because you showed up to do the debate. I mean, kudos to you. Great. At least we had it. These guys won't even show up to a debate. We had it all set up with Myron Gaines. We had it all set up on whatever. We've had it set up a dozen times to take these guys to task on their absurd criticisms of what is considered the red pill, and they refuse to even show up. Instead, they go into a smoke-filled cigar room and film each other kissing each other's asses and talking about how great it is that they want secular people to get married. Oh, wow, we've really won the culture war now, Lauren.
Well, I mean, to be fair to them, like, I'm not a Daily Wire employee. I'm not a fan of the Daily Wire as a whole. I like Matt Walsh and Michael Knowles, though. But Andrew Klavan and Michael Knowles have both sat down with Pearl specifically. They have had those conversations. I'm not saying that they shouldn't have further ones.
Yeah, Klavan got destroyed by Pearl Davis, who's not even a good debater. Yeah, I can't even tell you how badly it would go for the Daily Wire guys to have guys like me, who I'm not even a red pillar. I just don't straw man their position. Same thing, Rollo Tomasi, Myron Gaines, all of these guys, they would absolutely obliterate them, and that's why they hide, because they don't have prescriptions to these problems. And that's a big problem if you're out there advocating for Christianity, and what ends up happening is we all look stupid, we get pummeled, these guys in their spaces laugh at us, and I don't blame them.
Do you think that there exists a way for, I guess, there are secular adjustments to marriage that the red pill community would look at and think, you know, you're right, this does change my view of marriage and whether I should get married?
Repeat the question. I want to make sure I get it correct.
So do you think that there are secular changes to civil marriages? And again, I'll say it all the day long. You were right about secular marriages. I have no problems, like, you know, W for you, you're right. But do you think that there are secular changes that would make secular men more likely to get married? Because if you're saying...
Yeah, but I don't want them to. I want them to get a sacramental marriage. Why would I try to move society towards degeneracy, to enabling degeneracy? Why would I do that? The truth is written on your heart. It is true that men and women are inclined to become married, but absent the sacrament, right? They're not living in a married lifestyle at all. They just have some bizarre state contract. It's totally meaningless. Why would I move heaven and earth and all of society to reform all of these laws on behalf of these men if they're not even going to go through with a sacrament, have an ecclesiastical authority which can govern their marriage? You're setting them up for failure. Absent that ground-based community, which you only get from the church. You can only get community building from the church. The reason most of these marriages actually fail, and Sexton, he's a divorce lawyer. He's very popular all over the internet. Great guy. We've gone rounds and rounds about this. But one of the big keys, that if you read his book, you'll find this out. Absent the groundswell community, there's nothing which keeps these marriages together. There's no shame. There's nothing to appeal to. It's just you and her, and that's it. And all the degeneracy of the world. Why would I move heaven and earth and try to do everything that I could to promote that? I don't want to promote that. I want to move these people out of that and into sacramental marriage so that hopefully, well, not even hopefully, they will, based on what you and I have already discussed, which is that the more religious you are, the less likely you are to get divorced. That's going to require sacramental marriage. That's the way forward, but that requires patriarchy. I'm not going to move laws around and advocate to move these laws around so that secularists can engage in more degeneracy. That's insane.
Okay. And again, the civil marriage thing, I think you're right there. That's something that you kind of blow my mind on. I don't have a problem admitting that. I think from the Daily Wire perspective, they view it as pragmatically easier to encourage people who are secular to get married, have children within that state wedlock, than it is to convert them. And
Yeah,
I think,
so we could say abortion is more pragmatic because you can get rid of the undesirables in society too if you wanted to. We're not interested as Christians in pragmatic solutions. We're interested as Christians in sacramental solutions and bringing people into the Church of Jesus Christ, the body of Jesus Christ. In order to do that, we need to have a message which can compete with the common sense messaging of the red pill, and they ain't got it. And that's why they get destroyed. And that's why guys like me, the few of us which exist, can go out there and completely dismember both sides of the argument because we actually understand what the arguments are. These are not evil men. They're trying to get by inside this
that's a good point. They're not
world. They're looking for a solution like this. Myron would be the first to engage in ecclesiastical authority when it came to marriage and recommend that men go that route. And they know that they're immoral absent Jesus Christ and God. But if you can't offer them a superior message, the red pill is going to beat the holy tar out of you, and that's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
Sorry, we'll get to that. We have some more super chats. Lauren is admitting where she's wrong and brought you on her platform. Stop interrupting and show some respect. She names the J. She's good faith. You are not, even if right on this one.
Okay, well, I did request a moderator. Moderators are designed specifically so that there's not over-talking things like this. I understood that this would be a contentious debate. I requested one. It was Lauren who said no, she did not want a moderator. So you can't put this on me that I'm debating like I always debate. I requested a moderator, so that didn't happen.
We're both adults. I think we can just try to let each other
overall,
speak,
it's not even that bad.
And,
I mean,
continue in good faith. I still think that's possible. Not giving up on that. Arceon, Andrew's extremely bad faith. Wickeder than thou. Hey, Lauren, this person did not engage in good faith. This was entirely a game of one-upsmanship. His fans in chat also seem very angry and hostile.
Oh, yeah, all 5.1 thousand of them who are live viewing it right now, all of them are hostile. They're all just insane lunatics. Is that really what's going on? Or is it possible that I'm just right?
I don't think this person has said that all of your fans are hostile. The McGlone Code. I would love to see Andrew Wilson sit and talk with Pastor Doug Wilson. He's a solid Protestant who's been teaching patriarchy for decades.
Good.
Jacob Mayberry, divorce and premarital sex is extremely low in Mormonism too, and only men can be in the priesthood.
It's true. This is because inside of Mormonism, they have a long-standing tradition under a patriarchal authority. Now, there's other problems with Mormonism. I'm sure that Lauren Chen will absolutely agree with me on that. Huge problems within Mormonism. But the reason that you see this applied and you see less of what you would consider degeneracy in the world coming out of that church is because there's some kind of patriarchal structure which still exists there.
Thunderstorm, the divorce rate is extremely low for white couples being a first marriage. Eastern Orthodoxy has a huge flaw because it allowed Bolsheviks/feminism to arise in Russia, plus IQ doesn't equal clever.
Nonsense. What
they don't even know what they're talking about.
It was not that the Bolsheviks killed the Orthodox hierarchy inside of Russia.
Yeah.
They killed them. They murdered them. They murdered his entire family. And to this day, communism is anathematized by the Orthodox Church. You cannot be a communist and be Orthodox. You will be drove right out of the church. It is not allowed. That's a bullshit claim.
Sorry, this is the current one. The red pill's a joke made by weak men for weak men. This dude is a snake. Jesus gave 2 commandments: love your neighbor, love God. Jesus up to stop an adulteress being stoned. Who is this?
It sounds like you think there's a third commandment, which is be a sissy. And that's what's going on, is that you have completely and totally rolled over for a gynocentric worldview inside of the nation, which is promptly rejected by these descriptive truths by the red pillars, and Christians should be ready, arms open, to swoop these people up inside of the patriarchy and ecclesiastical authority. You have the third commandment of be nice. You see a woman who's uncomfortable, and it makes you uncomfortable. That's part of the gynocentrism that you're dealing with. You are what we like to call a simp, sir.
Ace Montana, OS is a company and is starting to downslide. Follow the money. Nala probably had an accountant say now's a good time to get out. Nagwal, 1992, he's lying. Myron always supports.
Yeah, well, why don't you go watch me tangle with him on this issue on the Fresh and Fit podcast? Also, that was the #1 rated by polling podcast that they've ever done, me on there tangling with him and with the girls afterwards. So I can give you firsthand direct knowledge that that's not true because he told it to my face. So you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Like most of you people, you don't even take the time to actually understand these issues. To me, it's disgusting and disingenuous, and I'd actually like to see you guys engage. I'd like to see the Daily Wire guys engage. I'd like to see everybody stop hiding under their little rocks.
When it comes to Myron and the Fresh and Fit guys specifically, you're saying that they don't support degeneracy, the sleeping around, or anything like that?
I'm saying that they're looking for any alternative to the degeneracy in the world. And what they have not found is good solutions from Christians to this, or they would be more inclined to follow those solutions. Are both Myron and Walter degenerates? Yeah, I told that to their face. They both know. But they both rejected the moral framework of religion, one Muslim, one Christian, because they feel that the solutions are nonsensical. And the thing is they don't have to be. We can come at these people with solutions which are not nonsensical and move them away from these paths. We can do that.
Well, and I think so. You've I think admitted yourself what a lot of these problems.
I wonder what he would suggest.
The red pill
I mean,
he
says
patriarchy,
patriarchy,
you could
but
also look at the OnlyFans girls and say, yeah, they've identified a market, and like it is a problem. They're looking for someone to take care of them who is a man, but they're not doing it right. But it doesn't change the fact that what they are doing, it is degenerate and it is enabling degeneracy.
Well, you can complain about it, but until you offer an actual solution, an alternative solution to just go and sin as much as you possibly can, we'll just call it something else other than a sacrament. That's not a solution. It's not a solution to not give them a patriarchal ecclesiastical authority that will actually make women behave. It's not a solution for you to just say, oh, but you're degenerate, so therefore dismissed. That's why they get more and more popular every single year, while the tradcons are losing ground on every single front. We cannot afford.
What would you say specifically as a trad? Like, what does that mean? Because I've seen people refer to being as tradcon as Sydney Watson, who is a liberal atheist, as well as someone like Matt Walsh, who is a Catholic, who is a father, who is right wing. So, I mean, is it just a dichotomy? You're either kind of like tradcon or red pill?
Nope. Oh, I mean, kind of. So let me give a little bit of ground here. TradCon is essentially meaningless. It's a reference point for people who are red pill advocates to point out this is a grouping of ex-Christians, or not ex-Christians, but X amount of Christians who believe in X. That's all that they mean when they say TradCon. Ultimately, it's a somewhat empty label. But when I make the reference for TradCon, I think you understand who it is that I'm talking about. If you don't, you want it more clarified. They would consider guys who are inside of like the Daily Wire, the Charlie Kirk Zone, people like this, to be inside of this kind of overarching TradCon feel. Andrew Klavan would be a perfect example of this, completely dismembered by Pearl Davis. She barely even had to try because, again, his solutions were a joke. From the Christian end, the solutions from the red pill side that they hear coming out of Christianity are a joke. It's lost its teeth. And it's lost its teeth because of the poor positioning and advocacy of the people who go against the red pill. That's why guys like me are popular in those spaces, and that's why most people are not, because they cannot contend, they just straw man.
Well, I think so I watched the Andrew Klavan with Pearl Davis, and I've also seen the criticisms of people specifically like Charlie Kirk. And I think like Charlie Kirk, absolutely, he is a strong Christian himself. He would be the first person to say you should come to Christ. But when he's talking about something like marriage, I don't think he fully understands the legal risk that a secular man is looking at, right? Because he went viral for a clip where he says get married as young as possible. I mean, I think a lot of young guys look at that and they think this is ridiculous. You're basically just asking me to tie myself to someone who I'm gonna be with before I make all of my money.
Yeah.
And when she leaves me, she'll just be that much more likely to actually get a piece of it because it's wealth that was earned.
Because there's no religious sacramental dimension to it.
I think that was an element in a situation where we have so many young men who are saying these are my concerns with marriage, to say just do it anyway.
Because the other person you can't
it's not
trust
a solution.
them.
And the Kirk method was a failure from the beginning. All right, a bunch of anonymous frogs were able to completely dismantle his messaging in front of the world. And this was more of the big tent, right-wing, solution-based nonsense. We have to hold our ground. These people are not reproducing. We can actually win this war long term. Just like the churches of old sometimes were cross-generationally built, we have the same exact thing in front of us. We can cross-generationally build back a patriarchal structure. And you can give men a mission and they will follow it to the letter. And what's going on right now with the reproduction crisis is actually an opportunity for us, because it's the secularists who are refusing to reproduce, and every single year the number is going down where the more traditionals are reproducing. We can ultimately win this fight, but we can't do it with poor messaging. If we just end up with these atheist-making factories, which is these Protestant churches, many of them are doing. I'm not saying all. There's some traditional Protestant churches, and there's a lot of base Protestants. But unfortunately, most of what Protestantism has become is an atheist-creating machine. It churns them out like nobody's business. And if we don't have good messaging here, Lauren,
I actually talk about this in my novel.
What these guys are saying, we're going to lose.
Well, then, when it comes to, so someone says Lauren's secular allies are bad, Andrew's secular allies are good. You're obviously very keen on debating, talking about the ideas. That's fine. I don't agree with an organization, I'll say it, like TPUSA, that I am affiliated with, taking, for example, a gay man and being like, this is the face of conservatism. I view that as very different than sitting down with someone, explaining my positions, and then, hey, at the end of the day, they admit that I am right. There's a difference there.
What's the difference?
Kind of peaceful Latinas, and it seems like you're in. Well, the difference is one of them. The leftist, the progressive, the secularist, you name it, is agreeing that your position is right on a certain issue. In the other camp, it's you lifting them up just in general as, hey, this is someone who is representative of what I want the movement to be.
There are truths in the world which can be offered up by secularists, which are no less true just because it's a secularist offering it up.
Yeah.
To say, though, that in any way, shape, or form, that Andrew Wilson embraces degeneracy is absolutely insane. Nobody has pushed back in this space more on that and more with the creators. Unlike you, I don't have interviews with Destiny where I kiss his ass. Instead, I debate him 7-8 times in a row until I'm on a blacklist, because I will continuously take these people on and their ideology on, and it doesn't matter who they are. My ideology is better.
It's actually how I first heard about Andrew
much
Wilson.
Better grounding. I'm going to go into the Lions Den and take them on where they're at, and I do this every single day, all day long. That's all I do. What I see instead is this kind of unification, the Kirk-style unification, with these particular degens. That's what you're talking about with the Latinas for whatever. I know who those two chicks are. They're dumb as a box of rocks, right? They're not good advocates for your positions at all, Lauren. Ultimately, though, these secularists, if we want to swoop these red pillars up, if we want to move them over to the body of Christ, the only way that we can do that is to go into their spaces and destroy their ideology. And thus far, the Daily Wire guys have been too terrified to do that. That's what's actually happened.
Well, I mean, I disagree that I can't have someone like Destiny on and we have a discussion about. I think we were talking about, I asked him stuff about OnlyFans. Yeah, we just had a discussion like I've had with, Brianna Wu, and it's usually.
No, I understand, but when I had a discussion with Brianna Wu blacklisted me immediately because I destroyed Brianna Wu so bad on a gun control debate, and Brianna was so humiliated that the guy took to the internet and went crazy on the internet about it for, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 days, tried to get me blacklisted off the internet just because of how badly I destroyed Brianna's ideology. When we move over to the Destiny front, no, it's okay for you to have a conversation with Destiny, right? But where was Lauren saying, hey, Destiny, letting other dudes jizz all over your chick's face, that's degenerate and disgusting. Why are you letting your wife go out and get fucked by everything on planet Earth, you gross coomer gremlin? Where's Lauren Chen at the front line saying, you disgusting fucking heathen?
Before we went on the stream, you specifically said you don't feel the need to bring up personal stuff unless the other person brings it up first, and that's kind of the stance that I take as well. Like, I can talk to Destiny about his ideas.
With potential allies, that's true. The Coomer Gremlin is not ever going to be your friend. The Coomer Gremlin will deplatform you in 15 seconds if he thinks it will in any way, shape, or form boost his audience numbers. He'll go to war with you tomorrow if he thinks it's prudent to his messaging. He doesn't give a shit about you. There's no particularly good reason I can ascertain why you didn't go, hey dude, why are you letting your wife get fucked by everything that moves, you gross bastard? Why are you advocating the most degenerate message possible?
There are a lot of people who follow Destiny, who agree with Destiny, who aren't in that same personal position as he is. He has an audience of, I mean, probably millions of people at this point, most of whom are not in open relationships. So I would like to be able to talk about his ideas that they are subscribing for without making it entirely about his specific
But it is entirely, in this particular case, the entirety of the advocation is from the personal. Unfortunately, you can't untangle the two in that case.
Yeah.
It is a personal thing that Destiny does and advocates for when it comes to polygamy and polyamorous relationships. He is King Coomer for a reason. He's degenerate on every single front. And why are you kissing this guy's ass? He's not our buddy. He's not our pal. He's not our friend. Why don't you actually fight back? You know?
Asked to have a nice chat with them. I mean, I don't think the mark of a successful debate is when the other person blacklists you and refuses to engage with you further, as you've probably said happened with Destiny and Brianna Wu.
Yeah, I want the enemies of conservatism to be terrified of the people who represent conservatism. They're not terrified of you. They think you're their buddy. They think you're their pal.
I don't think they think I'm like...
They're going to get a nice little ride on Lauren Chen's show. Oh, it's great.
Yeah, I think we should be able to, like, in a very chill manner, talk about our ideas, talk about our disagreements. If it's something where people are at least inclined to even just learn about what the other person thinks, I still think that is a win. If their audience is even just a little bit more inclined to see what I have to say, I still think that is a win as well.
Look, it's fine to have a nice discussion with people. I'm not even beating up for that. I'm just...
Or, by the way, I'm not saying you shouldn't be out there doing what you're doing, but I just don't see why it's the case where what I'm doing is so bad that talking with these people and having them want to...
Look, I'm trying to give you a difference in stylistics so that you understand the distinction in our ideology and
I do understand the distinction.
I'm not saying it's not okay for you to have like a nice chat with one of these Coomer Gremlins. Fine, you can do that, right? It's not the end of the world. What I am telling you, though, is that ultimately, I think that these people are very much going to move into the buddy-buddy position with you, because it's very useful to have women, especially soft women, who don't give a lot of pushback to ideology, where they can go on your platform and give their messaging out with almost zero pushback. That's generally speaking, what I've seen is that is part of an infiltration tactic. That's just my opinion. It's your show. You can do what you want with it, of course. I'm not any type of advocate for any type of cancel culture whatsoever. I also have a zero tolerance policy on community harassment. You'll never see people from the Crucible harassing you. That'll never happen, or we remove them immediately. But I am saying that these people ultimately are not your buddies. They're not your pals, not your friends, and they do want to dismantle the entirety of conservative politics. And anytime they're challenged and they lose, they blacklist the people they lose to. And on the front of the red pill versus these these guys from the Daily Wire, it seems to me like they don't want to engage because they're going to lose. That's what it seems like to me.
Well, again, I can't speak for...
I think that's going to be it for me. This is long. It's already past 11:30. But it's definitely an interesting one. I'll probably finish watching it tomorrow. Put it right there. Alrighty, fam. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning into today's live stream. Whatever part of the live stream you happen to be a part of. I will be back tomorrow. So usually just this week I've been doing a little live stream in the morning, or well, today was the afternoon, for about two and a half hours, where I'm reading some books and kind of chatting with people. And then I've been doing live stream at night, but I feel like tonight I was supposed to edit out some videos from a previous live stream and post those, and I didn't do that. So I need to do that soon. So I need to figure out a way to do it. Plus, I'm gonna be looking for a part-time job pretty soon, next couple weeks. So I'm not sure how things are gonna go, but I would still be consistently live streaming. You don't have to worry about that. Just a lot on my mind about all this stuff. But the consistent thing is working on a novel and live streaming. That's definitely going to happen. I just don't know how. Plus, I still need to figure out, like, when I'm watching debates or whatever, or watching anything, I need to switch my camera and shit like that. So, anyway, this is a bunch of nonsense. I'm just thinking out loud. If you enjoyed it, please leave a thumbs up. And I will see you guys in the next live stream. My name is SteubeMan. You guys have a great night. Peace.